listening to M.T.V.B. Podcast. Movies, TV, video and board games. This show may contain swearing.
Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of the
M.T.V.B.
podcast, the podcast that talks about my four favourite subjects. That's movies,
TV shows,
video games,
and board games.
I'm your host, M.T.V.B. Most people know me as the Ant-Man, and welcome. This week's episode is finally a board game episode of Season 6.
Woo, yeah, baby!
Our top 5 worker placement games of all time. I'm John around the table by people that love to talk about worker placement board games. First off, I've got the man, the myth, the legend, the games master himself, Wayne from Board Stupid. How are you, sir?
I'm really well, and this is going to be a great episode. I fucking love me some worker placement. So
this is your niche, right?
This is my shit. Mate.
This is a bit shit.
It's bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Glad you spelt that.
I was going to say,
We've got the man that puts the meeple in the meeple minder, the one and only Jason from My Podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you very much. Thank you for having me back once again.
Thank you for coming back on a board game episode. I know you got a bit dirty last time with the video game episode.
I'll tell you what, I was showered so much when I got home. I just couldn't get rid of that stench of video games.
The smell of digital, mate. It was disgusting.
It was digital. There was so much digital coming off of me.
and all those bits.
And now we've also got the guy who's been in there long enough to officially say that you are part of the M.T.V.B. podcast.
Yay.
Chris
Yay.
from M.T.V.B. How are you, sir?
He's finally got his own podcast.
Oh, no. Join me a podcast. Don't get a podcast. Join a podcast.
Exactly.
Nice. Yeah. Guys, thank you for coming on. As always, brilliant to have you here. So, worker placements. How tough of this list was this for you guys?
Hard.
It was a challenge because, like I said, this is one of my favourite mechanisms, right?
Is it?
And it is quite broad. So there's a lot of things that you could arguably call worker placement, even if they're sort of disguised as other stuff. So this was a tough one for me. There's a lot of these games that I like. And my top 5, I'm like, oh, god damn, there's so many good games in my honourable mentions that could have been in that top 5, mate. They really could have. Yeah.
Look forward to having honourable mentions. About the rest of you guys?
Well, I genuinely don't own any worker placement games, but I do love to play them. So it was hard to try and... What was a worker placement games and try to think what I played and how much fun we've had. And I'm trying to think of specific games, like games that we played. Right, I loved that game for that game of the game we played, if you know what I mean. So
Yes.
so yeah, you played a game, it became one of your favourites because you had such a good game playing it.
Yeah, even if you don't own it, you just loved it.
Loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm very much the same as Wayne on this one. I guess the same as Chris. Like, I love worker placement games. I really do. It's one of my favourite mechanisms. But actually creating this list was a real strange one because I realised that it's probably one of my least played mechanisms.
Okay.
Which was really strange, as I said, because it's one of my favourites. So I'm now questioning why it's such a small amount of my gaming...
Like your playtime.
My playtime has been taken up by this mechanism.
That's
okay.
That is
shocking.
Interesting.
Well, we might come into that later with the questions.
Yeah, because normally I start by looking at my games collection and I'm like, oh.
I don't actually have any.
I don't actually have any.
Yeah.
I meant to talk about my favourites and I don't have
But
any.
I guess you don't have to own
you know
them,
what
do
I mean?
you?
It's kind of-
Correct. Yeah, like any of this stuff.
But I know we played it a lot, and if someone says, "Well, Wayne normally he's like, I've got a new worker placement game," it's like, right, okay,
Yeah, it'll be all right.
This is it,
yeah, you've already
it's like
got.
automatic, yes.
It's such
Yes.
a versatile mechanism.
Actually, very interesting you mentioned that. I've just had a quick cursory glance at my 5. I own 2 of the 5
Okay.
in my list, which is interesting.
In my
Or how
short
many you
list,
have?
Yeah, you own
Every
a lot of
game
games.
apart from worker placement.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. What's your problem with worker placement, Jason?
I don't know.
What's your beef,
The
mate?
work bit.
What's the prejudice, man? There's no room for prejudice here. No, I got
There's a story, all right? There's a story.
all right, okay. I don't want to scratch that itch yet. I've got a short list of about 15 games, right? And I think I own the vast majority of them, except 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. But I own a lot of worker placement games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you own a shit ton, mate.
They're good games, mate. Yeah.
They are good.
I think I've just figured out why.
But you
I
own a
don't
shit ton of
any.
games full stop.
Tomsit's got them all. That's why.
Tomsit's
That's
got
it.
them all.
Just
I
go to
don't need
Tomsit's. So let's go into what worker placement is for the noobs out there that don't know the term worker placement. Can you guys describe to the people out there who might want to get into it what worker placement game is?
Place a worker.
There we go.
Do an action.
Jason's so helpful, mate. He's like, fuck you, new people. Work out yourselves.
Place an action.
Get good,
Get an
guys.
action.
Yeah, I think we boiled it down a little bit earlier, right? So you've got a pool of workers. It could be 1, it could be 15. It doesn't matter. You've got some workers. Those workers could be little meeples. They could be figures. They could be cubes. You place your worker on a space, either on a central player board or on your own personal board, and then you enact an effect based on the space that you've put it on. An example, I'll put my worker on a space that triggers me getting a bunch of money. I then get that money, and normally other people can't go there.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one
Limits
of the key.
it, right?
Yeah, it limits
Yeah.
it. Typically, it limits it. So one of the things about worker placement is it's a very versatile mechanism, and it can be used in a bunch of different ways, which I'm pretty sure we'll see as we explore our top 5s.
Sure.
As you've just been talking about that, another game has just popped into my head, but I'm not going to bring it up because I actually think it might be on someone's list, so I won't bring it up.
Okay, hold fire until
So
later.
We'll hold fire until a bit later on that one, but
And then we'll put
yeah.
the shots fired soon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as you said, we discussed it earlier, didn't we? It's like it's so broad,
Yeah, real broad.
and you know, it is as simple as I'm taking this piece from here and putting it here, and then doing a bunch of actions.
Yeah, doing a thing.
And there are so many game mechanisms that, if you boiled them down to their core, is basically a form of worker placement.
Yeah. Yeah, or other mechanisms sort of hidden and disguised as worker
Yeah,
placement, or with a layer of something else, or blended with other mechanisms, you know.
I think I would put a worker placement down to a problem-solving game as well, because you'd always go, right, I'm going to go there, and then you're the third action. But by the time someone's gone, I'm having that one, and you got to then quickly think on your feet.
Yeah.
Because you've lost what you were going to do.
You're
you spent
right.
all that time thinking what you're going to do, and you can never normally get there, so you go, right, I can do this, I can do that. And it's one of the best feelings when you find a better way
Of getting what you want.
You're like, right.
Yeah, you're right. They typically tend to be very tactical games rather than strategic games. And what I mean by that, strategic games will typically allow you to have a long-term view of what you want to achieve and then do it. Tactical games are typically turn by turn make decisions, right? Because things change quite quickly. Of course, there's blends of those things. Worker placement tends to lean towards the tactical because, as Chris said rightly, by the time my turn comes around, the action that I want to put my worker on might be taken by someone,
Yep.
and often is. So yeah, so you have to be able to pivot.
Yeah, and I quite like the fact that there are a limited amount of them out there, but there's a few worker placement games that are done solely on your board as well.
Plenty of those.
You don't always have that whole thing of, I need to do this now because someone else might do it and block you. And then when it's on your own board, you actually have that real dilemma because you're actually fighting yourself in the sense of, I might end up blocking myself.
Correct.
If I don't do it in a certain order. So there's a lot more strategy involved in a worker placement game, which is something I really love.
Absolutely. And if you've got your own sort of player board as opposed to a central board, often those games will basically give you the problem of choice.
Yes.
If I've got 3 workers and I've got 20 potential options on my player board, then I'm thinking, where do I want to put them? That's going to get me the best effect for this particular turn, which is an entirely different way of implementing it compared to sticking it on a central board which everyone shares. It's maths, mate.
That's my problem. There it
You
is.
lost me.
Yes, mate. But yeah.
Makes my maths
Nice.
teacher proud.
So proud of you. So obviously you're all big gamers. So you've obviously had to start with a worker placement at some point. If it doesn't spoil your top 5, can you remember the first one you ever played at all?
I can. I don't think it spoils my top 5, but it might spoil the fact that I don't have it on my top 5. I'm going to say it anyway. I think the first worker placement game I ever played was the Manhattan Project, which is still one of my favourite games.
You still own it, yeah?
I do own it. It's rare as rocking horse shit these days.
I bet.
Completely out of print. I checked it the other day. I was tempted to kind of sell it, and then I looked online and went, no. That's staying in the collection, they say. But it's a real good one, and it holds up really well to this day, actually. Really good. Interesting theme for a worker placement as well. It's very much a dry Euro game, but the theme makes it interesting. Okay. It has a little bit of interaction as well, so it's a good one. And if it might be on someone's list, so we might discuss it later, but it's a good one. Yep.
Nice.
I think I'm not 100% sure whether it was definitely the first one, but it was definitely one of the first. And I've only ever played it once. I don't remember anything about the game. I just remember that I've played it, and that was Agricola. Which is widely regarded as one of the best worker placement games of all time. But as I said, it's not on my list because I can't remember a damn thing about it. It is one of those games that I do want to play.
I've never heard of this game, so...
Agricola is a very famous game. Okay. I want to say Stefan Feld.
I'm pretty sure it's
not
Stefan Feld or something similar.
Or a similar famous Euro designer. I'm going to kick myself if that's wrong.
It's quite an old
ish,
title
yes,
as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. Caverna is by the same designer as well.
Yeah.
Another famous worker placement game. I played a lot of the 2-player version of Agricola, which is all creatures great and small. It was a much more simple, literally 1 versus 1 game, and quite forgiving. But I played that a ton, like years ago. Very, very good.
Nice. What about you, Chris?
No, I think I might talk about mine.
Is it your top 5? No, that's fine because I can't talk about mine because mine's in my top 5. So we'll go into it.
Not Feld. Feld makes even more boring games. I remember now. It's Uwe Rosenberg.
That's it.
It's Rosenberg. Rosenberg does the farming games. Stefan Feld does the beige ones, the brown ones.
You did lose me at that board name.
Complicated.
Yeah. But no.
And big.
Rosenberg, bit more engaging.
Yeah.
So obviously, as you've established that worker placements are it's very samey. You do this, do that, click this, click that. But as a game itself, what draws you to play them again? Is the theme a factor to it at all, or is it the fact that you just enjoyed it last time? I want to go back and play it again.
I think we mentioned it's quite a flexible mechanism, right? I've played worker placement games with a ton of different themes, and they work equally well. They really do. Sometimes, because it's very much a mechanism based in the Euro methodology of game design, right? So mostly on balance, quite mathematical, typically not much in the way of variance. All of the things are known to you. There's no dice rolling or wild stuff, or typically not much dice rolling or anything wild that's going to surprise you. And so it's a very flexible mechanism, and so it's not really the theme that draws me to it. It's more, I think, as Chris mentioned, the problem solving aspect and the efficiency puzzle.
Yeah, I think what I've found with worker placement, especially the ones we played, is I might lose, or only one person wins, but you look around, everybody's normally had a really tight game or a really fun game. I find with some like area control, some people just dominate, and then you could just be hanging on to maybe survive.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're just feeling like I didn't really play that, I just survived.
Yes, I know what you mean.
And I think with a worker placement game, I think it does it such a well, like it's a skin. It could be anything.
Yes.
And it's so tactical.
Yeah. The balance is normally really fine.
And I think
it's usually quite close towards the end as well. No one is ever really too far behind on worker placements, are they?
Again, it's that...
And the skullduggery between like friends. Well, I don't need that. But I don't want you to have that. That is more important.
I don't need the first player token, but I'm taking it.
Exactly.
Even though I want it, and that's what I want to do, if he does that, then he's pretty much only two points away from winning, or and I think, and you never have any, that was my spot, or I've never had anybody kick off really on our worker play. Well, it's any hard. Sort of game.
Mate, I always show if someone takes my spot, I'm going to be raging. Fuck's sake, Jason! Fuck's sake, Tom.
Join some of my games, mate.
Yeah, well, then let's come for it. But there might be but it's not a.
It's harder to feel salty about it than someone invading your lands and just wiping you out, and you're like, fuck this game. Yeah. But yeah, with your worker placement, it tends like, again, it leans back on that more balanced traditional Euro design where things are typically going to be a bit closer towards the end of the game.
Yeah. I also find I'm very more broad and open to a worker placement theme. If you go, it's this theme, you know. But it's a worker placement. Oh, that could work.
Yeah.
You know,
okay. Yeah.
Like a boring theme can work really well in a worker placement game.
Yeah.
I think better than some other sort of game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, I've got to admit, like, furthering on to what you've been saying, is like worker placement to me is far more of a Euro style.
It is, yeah.
Mechanic. There is, as we said, it's a lot more dry. There tends to be a bit more mathematics and strategy involved in it. And I actually find it might just have been the ones that I've had, but the theme is not always really integral to that mechanism, which is
you're right.
kind of, it's normally something that puts me off of a game. Like, I like to be immersed in the game.
Yeah.
However, when it comes to worker placement, it kind of overwrites that because I really enjoy that mechanism. I do find that I tend to end most worker placement games with a headache because I've spent the entire game, especially if it's a long one.
Yeah.
I'm just the cogs are whirring constantly. You don't really stop. You don't really stop and just chill for a few minutes. It's like, no, I'm just constantly. I'm thinking 3 turns ahead. What am I doing? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And I'm actually playing 4 different games in my head.
Yeah.
And it's not until the end of the game when I do sort of take that big breath and sit down, and then suddenly it's like, oh my God, my head hurts. You know?
You make a really good point. There is quite often in worker placement games a disconnect between theme and in that theme mechanical integration that we like to talk about, right? Which I think makes some games really sing and takes games to the next level. Doesn't happen quite so often in worker placement, and I don't think it matters.
No. Correct.
It's one of the few mechanisms where I would say it really
kind of is
doesn't matter.
just fine, yeah.
Theme's normally one of the... That's a massive chunk of what makes me buy a game. Like, and I don't find it. Maybe that's probably why I haven't got any. But it doesn't mean that I don't really enjoy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's probably why. Yeah,
nice. I was going to go into. I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, Wayne, with that answer. But the future of worker placements. So you all go to expos, Essens, whatnot.
As do you, Mr. Anthony.
As I do, but will you guys ever get sick and tired of the mechanic itself? Like, another fucking worker placement, or this one and this theme, another fucking worker placement. Would it ever put you off, or will you still keep going to it even though you know the ins and outs of the actual genre itself?
They've got to change the... You can't just put a new skin on in exactly the same game, you know.
Zombicide.
Yeah, I've not played that, so I can't. But that is a point of why people get annoyed with it. It's kind of like
another skin.
I think every game that's on my list is a little bit different, but enough of the same.
Again, it goes into... Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
That's all right. I was going to say, agreeing with that, I'd say everything on my list, when I was going through it, I was like, no, everything here has got something. Something is different about the game and the mechanism within that. And I mean, to answer the question, I don't think I ever would get to the point where I was like, oh no, not another one. However, you know, I think back a few years, maybe 3-4 years ago, where worker placement was big, and it seemed like we were, you know, like every month it was like, oh, there's a new worker placement game. It's like, okay, well, that's clearly the thing this year.
Yeah.
And even then, it wasn't like, no, I'm not interested. It's like, okay, what's this one doing differently?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the industry does tend to have its like mechanism of the moment. Like there was roll and writes, that was a thing for like a couple of years. Every company did like 10 roll and writes. There was one with worker placement as well. But I think, onto your point, there is plenty of scope to still innovate in worker placement. And that's what I mean. We talked about it as well earlier. It's a very broad mechanism that you can layer a lot of things on, and it's a strong mechanism. It can support a lot of structures. So I find a lot of the innovation in worker placement games is actually the other mechanisms they blend with it, which is what you'll find a lot in my list. So sometimes there'll be worker placement with deck building, or worker placement with whatever else it is, dice chucking, or worker placement with area control, or worker placement with action selection, or some other economy puzzle that goes with it.
Yeah.
Or... Yeah, so there's a bunch of different ways that I think developers can still play with the mechanism, and it's showing. And it's just really robust.
I think that's definitely the evolution of worker placement, because there was a point where worker placement games were just worker placement.
Raw worker placement.
And to be honest, if that's all they were releasing for worker placement, just that raw worker placement mechanic, I'd probably get a bit tiresome of it.
Probably, yeah.
But blending it and finding all these new ways to blend it with other mechanisms is what keeps worker placement exciting.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, and saying that, there's a lot of these worker placement games, well, there's one, you mentioned it earlier, Manhattan Project, that have released like a 2, a 3, like they're different separate games, but we've looked into it, and there wasn't, they're about 40 to 60 quid, depending on which one you got.
Yeah.
But there wasn't enough of a change from what you had as the first game for us to lay out
another 60
to
quid.
get So to me, it would be like, maybe you don't get that game again, if you know what I mean, but you'd always get a different worker placement game. But saying that, I'd get bored getting the same game. Same with Pandemic, and they brought the same
loads of Pandemics out. Yes,
did it vary enough to warrant?
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't think. I'm not that interested in new Pandemic releases these days because I've played so much Pandemic. It's the same. Like if a worker placement. If worker placement only ever stayed worker placement, right, I place my worker, I get my resource. I place another worker, I change that resource to this resource. I play this worker, I change these resources into points. Wash, rinse, repeat.
Dull.
That would be boring as hell.
Worker placement in its chorus form is so beige.
Yeah, it's super beige.
It is super, super beige.
Yeah.
And
it's typically getting or transferring resources, right? Yeah.
Basically working.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. But even that said, like I said, it's such a robust mechanism. There's still so much scope for the future of that design. And as you said, I think mostly blending it with new mechanisms and messing about with even more interesting
and keep you coming back for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did actually have someone quite recently, in fact, was talking to me about a game. It was I can't remember the game exactly, but think sort of Inesh, Scythe, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Dudes on a map.
Dudes on a map games, yeah.
And they kept referring to that as a worker placement. Oh, well, I'm going to move my workers from here to here. I was like,
not really the same.
That's not really a worker placement. It's not really. I get why you might be confused because, dudes from one location to another.
Yes.
But what are they doing when they get there?
Exactly. What's the effect that they're enacting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Inesh is a hard example because if you're moving, chances are you're going to initiate a fight. But it's like, it's still not worker placement in my mind. Whereas in their mind, well, it is because I'm placing my workers from here to here.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That's why it starts to get a bit fuzzy.
It does.
And I try and, I think, limit the definition between I have a limited pool of workers, I place them somewhere, and I get a thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I like the way you like that. Get a thing. It's good.
Or I do a thing. Exactly, yeah.
Right. I'm out of questions for that one, guys. So unless you want to throw anything in, we'll go straight to your top 5.
I don't think so. I think we're really nailing this whole question
you
thing
are.
now. Like
You've done pretty well. Usually you're like, Wayne, you answer. You've done pretty all right.
I almost sound like I'm talking about.
And I get a thing.
And I get a thing.
Let's dig in.
Let's do this.
Hit that.
It's time for a top 5
Thing.
That thing.
Right. So obviously, you know the rules. If we clash, don't worry about clashing. You get your 2 cents out of it. You know the story. You've done this 100 times.
I know the rules.
But for the people that haven't listened, if we don't mention your favourite worker placement, get your own fucking podcast. Number 5.
Number 5.
Who would like to go first? Chris, you normally like going first.
No, we did
would you like to go first?
That's why I wasn't going to say I'll go first. I got shut down last time.
Do you know
Jason?
what? I don't think we've had Ant go first for a long time.
I'll go first if you want. I don't mind. What way would you like to go? Clockwise, counterclockwise?
Come to me next.
Oh, well, Chris is last. Okay.
Come to me next.
Go on then.
Come to me next.
Ooh, yeah, baby.
Okay.
This is why I sat directly opposite Ant because it's almost impossible.
I didn't actually prepare myself to go first, but I'll go first. I don't mind. My number 5 is a game I know has been out for quite a long time, but I got to see what it looks like at Essen. As there was a store that was selling it and displaying it, but we also played a similar theme to this game when we were at Essen. I won't mention it in case it's in someone's top 5. But my number 5 is Champions of Midgard.
That I've heard so much about. I've not played it.
If you've not played it, see, I thought you had played it.
Bugger. No, I haven't. It's right there. I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I thought you played because it's been around for quite a while.
Yeah, I know. It's never
been on my
around.
list.
But this game is essentially Blood Rage meets Lords of Waterdeep. And
Sounds
it
great.
is such a fucking great combo. And the thing I like about this game, because the map is essentially 2 halves. You've got a village and you've got the river or ocean, whatever you want to call it. And obviously the top half is to build your army, build your warriors up and, defeat monsters and obviously travel. You build your ship to travel across the ocean to defeat even more monsters and gain more glory. Sounds pretty simple. There's one little kicker I love about this. And I was a bit worried about this being a worker placement, but I checked it. It is a worker placement. It does have dice throwing elements to it.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Because your warriors are dice, essentially. And you have to obviously gain those to get them and defeat monsters.
Interesting.
But this is the kicker. There's one thing I love about this game, which I thought was quite unique for this worker placement type. So, like you mentioned earlier, you have these guys that go here and here. But every round, at the end of a round, a troll attacks your village. Okay? So if no one deals with it, everyone gets a blame token, which is minus victory points at the end of the game. Okay? So say, for example, none of us deal with the troll, but Jason decides to go deal with the troll. Defeats the troll at the end of the round. He takes the blame token and can decide who the blame goes to.
Oh,
So-
hang on a minute.
Oh,
Now
the
I'm
blame
interested.
game.
I like that. The blame
So, for
game,
example,
mate.
he could give it to Chris and go, here, Chris, that's minus 3 points at the end of the thing.
Shame.
But like I said, I love the theme. I love the Viking theme aspect to it. Like I said, I played a similar game, Viking-esque, whilst we were in Essen, so it kind of got me into it. I didn't buy it at Essen, obviously, so I got it when we came back. Some of the add-ons are still quite limited to it, but if you ever get a chance, I highly please recommend you give it a go.
this
All of you,
new-
because it is a great game.
Yeah, definitely. Is this new to you? And
I got this 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's super new to you. I'm dying to play that one. It's been on the list
Yeah,
for a while.
I hadn't brought it to the table because I thought you'd already played it because it'd been around for a while. So
Next
that's
time.
why I never ever got it to the table.
It's all
but
right.
as a worker placement, it is kick-ass, easy to play, simple. Even the dice mechanic is easy. You look at the card, see the result of it. It's brilliant. I can't. If you love Blood Rage, love Lords of Waterdeep, love those two. Give it a go.
Excellent. I like it.
So yeah, my number 5, short and easy.
I like it.
Over to Wayne, wasn't it, next?
Yeah, let's
Yes,
do
let's
it.
do it.
So my number 5 is where I was talking about the future of mechanisms, right, and how you start to blend loads together. And this is my cult of the new pick. And my number 5 is Endless Winter, Paleo Americans.
Yeah, it was an honorable mention
That
for
was
me.
the honourable
Yeah,
mention
yeah.
for you. Okay, so this manages to blend worker placement with deck building, with area control, with what else was it? Resource collection as well. Like there is a lot
Yeah,
of
there's
stuff
a lot.
in that game. It's a big, hefty Euro with an awesome theme. Right, you are like freezing in the Paleo-American or Paleolithic era, and you're just trying to survive and get your clan. Trying to build your village out and survive. And it's amazing. And what I like about this particular approach to worker placement is it's quite forgiving. Normally with worker placement games, they can be a bit ruthless. You place your worker, no one else can go there. Right, fuck you. I'm taking those things. With this, it's way more, I said, forgiving. If I put my worker on a space, say, for example, I want to put it on the hunting space, so I can go and hunt, right?
Yeah.
So set collection, that's another mechanism. I'm going to go and hunt the animals. For getting to that space first, when I put my worker there first, I'll get a little bonus. But it doesn't stop anyone else going there. So it incentivizes you to get there first, but it doesn't stop anyone else from still enacting their strategy. So it's a really flexible, very forgiving game. And I love that about it. And I love that this is one of the more complex games I've played in the last year, one of the more complex Euros, and it manages to feel really, I suppose, procedurally easy to get to grips with. I mean, it's a huge game, but I don't know how you felt, Ant, but it never really felt overwhelming.
Not at all, considering there's a lot to do.
Yeah, and it all stems from placing that worker. You place that worker, and then a bunch of stuff happens.
Yeah.
I'll get some cards, I'll discard some cards, I'll get some resources, I'll do some stuff, I'll save this, I'll get an animal, I'll do a thing. Yeah, really, really good. So it still has that core mechanism. I've got my pool of workers. I think it's 3, not many. I'll place it, I get a thing. And everything else just sort of spills on from there. But how it implements those things, is fantastic. Fantasia Games, this was their first ever release, as far as I'm aware. What a spectacular debut. They've got a new game coming out. I think
the quality of that game is unreal.
insane.
Even the player boards, I love them. They're double boarded as well, aren't they?
Shop, like the wood stand shop.
No, that's Paleo.
Right.
A similar name, but that's that was a Spiel Jarwin actually. But no, this is Endless Winter, I think I'll call it, just to avoid confusion. But phenomenal production. Yeah, it's got like a game trace thing. It all looks like an iceberg in there. Beautiful design. So Fantasia Games, they're releasing a new one about sort of Freud, and I think it's called like The Unknown Mind or something like that. Another amazing looking game, and I'm dead thrilled to have a look at that as well. Anyway, so that's that. Enough waffle about that. Check out Endless Winter.
Yeah,
One of my
I need to
favourite
replay
games.
that. I lost so badly, but I want to play it again.
One of my favourite games of last year, and it's great.
Good choice, sir.
Nice. That's a game I haven't tried yet, so
You would like it.
I would like
You would like it, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely want to try that. So this is not really Cult of the New for me. This is a 2021 release, I believe it was.
Cult of the New!
So it's technically Cult of the New, but whatever.
I'm joking.
This one actually jumps straight into the conversation we were having just now about theme and how it's kind of not really all that engaging for most of these games. This game is the opposite of that. This game, I feel the theme is very, very good, and I'm always immersed in the game, and we're going to be talking about After the Empire.
After I haven't played that.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
So this is not a game I've played a super amount, but a really good worker placer mechanic within this game. The theme of the game is you are basically building a castle, and you're amassing your forces to defend that castle from the onslaught of, various different types of warriors that are going to be coming to try and take your gold from inside your castle. You start the game with ultimately a wooden castle, and you can gather resources using your workers to try and build a stone castle, and you want to gather workers so you can build an archery tower. You want to use your workers to maybe build a barracks so that you get a decent amount of warriors for defending your castle, but also you're going to have to use your workers to farm so you can feed those
of course,
soldiers and stuff like that. But you only ever have, I think you start the game with like 3 workers, so it's really difficult to sit there and go, well, I know that I'm going to
limitation again, isn't it?
Exactly, and every level or every round, it gets more and more people will start attacking. You don't know what side they're coming from, so you then have that strategic thing of, I've got enough to build one stone wall, but which fucking side of my castle do I build it on? Where do I put my warriors? Because if I put them over here and they attack from this way,
Shafted.
I'm shafted. So it's a really good game, nice theme to it. That you are just immersed in it and going, I really want to defend this castle because fuck you, are you stealing my gold, you bastards?
Nice. What's it called again, sorry? Age of Empire?
After the Empire.
Not heard of it. I'm going to need to play that as well.
Great
Sounds
Fox
pretty
game.
good, though.
Really, really good production on
Sounds
it
good as well.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Do you own it or?
I do not own this one, however, I have very regular access to it. Because
Okay.
it is in the Meeple Minded
Because he
library.
stole it.
Add it to the list, please.
Oh yes, indeedy.
Nice pick. Chris. Over to number 5, sir.
I had my number 5, but I feel like Champion of Midgard just went on it.
Give it a go, mate. Give it a go.
It just sounded right up my street. No, my number 5 is Pan Am.
Okay.
Baby.
You own this, right?
I own Pan Am.
Yeah.
It's
we
excellent.
Played a couple of games of this. This was awesome.
I never knew this was a worker placement game.
I liked the theme of it. The only way to describe it is like in Catch Me If You Can, that when he's flying Pan Am, it's that sort of air stewardess, like the hits and glitz and glamour. Pan Am are the monster.
They are like
The
Thanos.
monster, yeah,
They are
Thanos.
inevitable.
They're coming for you, and you have,
Yeah.
and you're working as like a little budget airline. And basically, it's very similar to a bit like Ticket to Ride. You
Yeah.
kind of pick a route, and you try and make as much route as you can to make as much stock as you can. But no matter what, Pan Am will come
For you.
for you, and they will
coming.
But they will take your routes, but they will pay you.
Yes.
That's the nice thing about it.
Yeah.
You don't lose stuff in this. You
kind of want them to take you,
kind of want
eventually, right?
Yeah, because you kind of build up your stocks. You kind of you place your workers. You can either buy an airport, buy buildings, buy
more destinations,
little directives, secret,
upgrade your planes, that sort of thing.
Planes. And then it has a nice little, well, if you go there, someone else could go there, but it becomes more expensive the higher. If you really want it, you're going to pay top dollar for it.
Sure.
And that's where the worker placement screw jobs, because you can end up losing I really do need that airport.
Yeah.
And then someone could just put it there to make you pay for it.
It's really clever, because this is worker placement combined with like a real simple bidding mechanism, right? Or not an auctioneer, more like a bidding, right? So if you imagine the action is get a new airport.
Yeah.
There is 4 spots. You can put your worker on any of those 4 spots, and each of those spots has got a value on it. It starts at 2, then it might be 4, then it might be 6, then it might be 8. I could put my worker on the $4 one. If Chris wants the airport, right, he has to put his worker on the $6 one, which will boot my worker off.
Right. Okay.
Right, and then if I want it, I'll need to put it on the
Even
$8
higher,
one,
right,
and then he'll boot his worker off, and then he can't do anything about it. But then I'm down $8. Like,
Sure.
And you've got to have the money to pay for it.
You've got to have the money to pay for it, or you're paying in Pan Am stock.
Yeah.
Which is the only way you win the game.
Okay.
So it's a real punishment if you can't
You need
pay.
to sell to Pan Am to get your stock up.
Yeah, to buy stock in Pan Am. Yeah.
And that's the only way. It doesn't matter how well you're doing or
How
money,
successful your
routes,
airport
or-
is,
It
like-
doesn't. It just.
There's a lot more to this game than I thought it actually was, to be honest.
It's great.
It was brilliant, and we just had so much fun playing it. It was like one of the newest ones on my list, but we had so much fun playing
it's
it.
underrated as well, mate. It's like a real underrated gem. You can pick it up cheap still.
Oh, nice.
And
It's got-
cracking.
The board it's got like that sort of like nice sheen to it. It's
Yeah.
very well made, and you got little plastic miniature planes.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be, but like they put it in there for you.
25 quid that cost me.
Oh my god!
It was an absolute bargain, mate. It's a brilliant game. Really clever sort of worker placement / bidding mechanism. Definitely worth a crack, mate. Everyone will enjoy it here.
please.
Yeah, it can be hilariously ruthless. And here's the thing as well, when you've got that sort of value thing, if I'm looking over and I can see how much money Chris has got left in his bank, and I know he really needs that destination,
Screw
you
him
can
over.
bet your ass I am bidding exactly the amount he doesn't have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the screw job again,
It's
mate,
like-
isn't it?
yeah, and that's the game,
That's the
isn't
game,
it?
mate. Yeah, it's great. Really, really good.
Screwing your mates over. God, I love worker placements.
Yes, mate.
I can't wait for the Lockerbie expansion. Was that too soon?
Too soon?
I mean, I was also going to chime in here. It's clearly not very thematic, because the idea is to have the most Pan Am stock at the end.
Yes.
It's like, well, why would you want the most Pan Am stock at the end? Because they failed miserably.
They eventually got taken over by other ones and whatever. But like, I think the idea was like they bought out every small airline.
Yeah.
Right. So that's basically it, and that's what you are. You are some small, tiny airline in the face of this juggernaut.
Yeah.
I think
and
the
you're
mob
trying to
just
survive.
robbed them every week.
Yeah,
every
basically.
week Pan Am were getting robbed by the mob.
Get robbed up, mate. Every single week. But yeah, it's great, man. Every single term, Pan Am expands, and so you're trying to have this weird balance between creating a good airline, so you've got a regular income, which will allow you to buy stock, but then eventually you want Pan Am to buy you out, but you don't want them to buy you out too early because you've got no income.
Right.
It's a really smart balance. Really good.
Nice.
you know
Another one to add to the list.
Yeah,
All I've got going through my head now, since you said about them being robbed, is like the pilot landing back in. I was like, I'm really sorry, it was these pirate pilots.
Taking it all.
They flew alongside us and stole everything.
They just took it all night.
Look at me, I'm the captain now. Anything else on that, sir?
No, that's it. That's it.
Number 4's then.
Number 4.
Clubbing. Number 4. My number 4. Oh, it's back to me now. Shit. My number 4. Let me just check one sec. Fuck.
He's not used to this, is he?
I'm not used to going first. Anyway, my number 4 is in one of my favourite games of all time, Dune Imperium.
Dune Imperium, baby.
Love this game. Friggin' one of my favourite worker placements, hence why it's on the list. The theme itself is right up my alley. I love the Dune saga itself. Can't wait for part 2 of the movie this year. Roll on November.
Oh, yeah, baby.
But yeah, I mentioned on Wayne's podcast why it was a big deal for me last year to play this game quite a bit. And I love it every time. It's one of those games I cannot get enough of. I'm on to the last expansion for it, which I haven't played yet, which is Immortality, but I still need to play it. But as a game itself, Jesus Christ, it's just everything I want in a worker placement.
It's a spectacular game. It really is. It has a really, really tight action economy. I mean, you get limited workers and it's ruthless how you can play them. It combines it with deck building, again, in a really smart way. You can only put your worker on a space if you've got the right card.
Yeah.
And that's cleverly restricting.
This game, like, I was never a fan of the Dune franchise. I didn't care for the movies, but I did watch them because I played this game and I had so much fun over a game that I had no idea of what faction did what, or who was who. Just get the spice, and I was like, do you know what? I really enjoyed that. Heard everyone talking about it, and I ended up watching the movie, and I'm now a fan of Dune.
Yeah,
literally because of this game.
And I have played with people that don't know the Dune franchise either, and still have enjoyed it to this day. I think it's one of the easiest Dune games to play. That's probably why I really like it that much as well. As much as I do like to play the other Dune stuff, it's just a bit of a head fuck to get around certain things. Where this one's just a better. You know, it's up that alley with me. I love worker placement, so to be there and Dune, it's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real good design. I mean, the cards are crazy powerful as well. There's loads of variety in the cards. The deck, especially if you get one of the expansions, and you've got so much content. Yeah. What's the first expansion called?
Rise of Ix.
The Rise of Ix was great.
The good thing about that with these is like, there's never a wasted card, was there?
Yeah.
Like you could always use your card for something.
There's always something, isn't it?
Normally, you can end up having a card the whole game in some games. And you can never get rid of it. But these ones, you just seem to go through your cards proper.
Because you've always got the reveal phase.
Yes.
Right, so if you can't place your worker, reveal it, and then you get some bonus for just revealing it.
Yes.
And it's not just a trash card at the end of the day.
Exactly. It's not just clogging up your hand. You can get rid of it and it'll do a thing for you. So
there's always something to do in that.
And the
combat
is ruthless, mate. It's
that
brutal.
little area control combat section at the bottom, which is just ruthless.
Everyone dies every time.
Everyone dies.
It's bloody. Like, whatever you put in there will kill something or be killed or get eaten by the desert. It's brilliant. Really, really good.
Like Jim Ross always says, it's a bloody mess.
It's a bloody mess. Exactly.
I don't want to go into it too much because I talk about this board game so much on this fucking podcast and other podcasts as well. But yeah, give it a go. Short and easy. Dune Imperium number 4.
Good. Yeah. My number 4 is Dune Imperium.
Nice. There we go.
Crossover number 1.
Crossover number 1.
I will only expand slightly on a couple of things.
Yeah, please.
Like I said, you get, is it 3 workers to start with, and you can unlock a 4th, or is it 2 and you can unlock a
2
3rd?
Unlock a 3rd.
That's brutally restricting, right? And it feels tight, and it is really, really annoying when someone takes the spot that you need.
Absolutely.
If I've got maybe like only one of my cards, I could have like both of my workers, right, and the whole board's free, but only one of my cards lets me go there, and then someone else nips in there before me. I'm like, fuck. And sometimes I've had entire turns focused on, I need my worker to go to that space.
Yeah.
And I don't draw the fucking card that lets me get there. I'm like, oh, which is hilariously annoying. But like you said, Chris, it makes you then have to think another way around, right? Re-strategize, rework it. And it makes you feel super smart when you can find out something that you can do that is useful. The combat is savage but simple, which I really like about it. The cards are phenomenally varied. The deck is great. The Rise of Ix expansion adds a whole bunch of stuff to one of the, I suppose, board options to make that infinitely more interesting. If I had any critique of the sort of non-expanded game, is that one of the sort of faction options that you can go and put your workers on wasn't great. With the expansion, it fixes that.
Yeah.
Like, and some. Like, real good. I think it's the Spacing Guild that it changes entirely with the overlay.
Yeah, that's right.
So that allows you to go up and down this track and get dreadnoughts and other crazy shit.
It covers over it, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah, real good. Plays great at almost any player count that it delivers to you. So at 2, 3, 4, or 5, and even has a solo mode that plays all right as well. So
yeah, I'm intrigued by that, to be honest.
It's a good bloody game, mate. It's rated highly by a lot of people. Dune Imperium, excellent worker placement.
Good pick, sir.
Yes, it is.
Jason, nice. Dune Imperium.
Yeah, mine is Dune Imperium. No, it's not. Noticed how I stayed dead silent throughout all of that. There's a reason for that. No, so my next one is actually, I first played this back in the glory days of the comic shop, and also back in the day where myself and Wayne actually managed to get a game day together, which was Very, very rare.
Those halcyon days, mate.
Oh no, it's so rare now, isn't it? But so this one comes with an awesome new mechanic as well, and it is Raiders of the North Sea.
It's a cracking game. What a bloody good game.
Absolutely.
That was the game I got to play. Got me into Champions of Midgard.
Nice.
You played that with me and Essen.
It's the first time I played it.
Really, really good game. And the interesting mechanic I find with that one is the whole placing a worker down and then taking a different one back. Because that's new to me. Like, I'd never tried anything else like that. And I loved it. Because, again, you were sort of... It was forcing you, but in a sort of non-aggressive way, to think, well, what am I going to do next? Because I need this worker to do this, but to get that worker, I've got to do this. But I don't really want to do that because I'd rather do this, but then I'll have fuck all that I can do with this one.
It's the order of operations is the puzzle, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this game is, to be honest, it's more of a puzzle than it is a worker placement game, but it's all that sort of entwined player aspect of it. Yeah, I've got to place my workers in the correct way in order to complete the puzzle, and the ultimate aim of the puzzle is who has the most points at the end of the game.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and that's what I really like about it, is it doesn't feel like a worker placement game, because this one is a born and bred worker placement game.
It is.
And it's...
Is that the one where you got the smaller meeples and the bigger meeples? Or
The shards and the black shards is in it. And the... That's
They're
it.
different coloured.
Yeah, different colours. You get the black shards that you
workers, aren't
lose. You lose your Vikings, don't you?
Oh, yeah, the black little...
That's one thing, sorry,
the
yeah,
little,
yeah.
little skulls.
Yeah.
The black
Is it
skulls.
skulls?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's one thing. I'm sorry,
yeah,
beg pardon.
And obviously you
that's
can't
exactly
go
right,
to
yeah.
certain areas at the start. You've
Yeah.
got to procure the right stuff. There's
Different
a
colour
lot of-
workers.
Exactly, different colour workers. And like you said, I need this colour worker to do this. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there's just a lot of thought process there. And because it doesn't feel like a normal deck building mechanic... Deck building?
Worker
I'm
placement
thinking of a
mechanic.
different fucking... Yeah. Because it doesn't feel like a worker placement game, it had to go in my list because I really do like it. Because this game is in danger of becoming one of those beige worker placement games, but just adding that little bit of spice to the top of it changed it enough to be a really, really exciting
The
game.
theme's really well on that.
And
like,
theme
like
fits nicely as
it
well.
works perfectly. I
Yeah.
think it's great. I like it.
Yeah, might have something to say about that. But there is...
I figured.
Shem Phillips, the designer, is basically a worker placement savant. He's a genius. He comes...
I'm very much looking forward to the new, because he's obviously done another worker placement one.
West
for the
Tigris is the new
West
series,
Tigris,
and
yeah.
he's done the West Kingdom, and then he did the North Sea, and it's all a series, and it all messes around with worker placement in different games. Man's a bit of a genius, but yeah, that's a good pick.
it's all the same style artwork as well, isn't it?
Yes, which by a guy called the Miko. I can't remember his name. I think it's either a Czech or a Polish guy. I can't remember, but that's his artist name. And he also did the artwork for Endless Winter.
Ah, okay. Ah, it makes sense now. Yes.
Yeah, you can when you think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an amazing artist.
I've just had a brand new Kickstarter game delivered, and he was the artist for it. And I've now got a signed promo card by him as well.
It's so
Fucking
distinctive,
awesome.
isn't it?
Oh yeah,
It's
it's
so
brilliant.
distinctive. Great art.
Really, really good.
Yeah, that's a good pick, Jason.
In fact, that's a worker placement game as well. Ironically,
Very nice.
What the Kickstarter is?
it is. I haven't played it yet, so it couldn't make it to the list.
Fair enough.
Nice. Okay. Right. Yes. My number 4 is the first one I ever played, which was Manhattan Project.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real good.
So Wayne bought it, and it was, it's basically two superpowers, and you're building your atomic bombs.
Yes.
And you're basically the race for power.
Yeah, that's right.
Become a superpower, basically. And it has everything that I kind of like in a theme. It has lots of different things to do. I can build, I can spy, like a bit of espionage. I can bomb, I can defend, I can attack. And there's... and you could go to school.
And you go to school.
Go to
Exactly.
study. And you
You
can
go train your dudes to be scientists.
So everything that you do, you pick a player and you pick an action, and you have a labourer who does
Yes.
dog's body works, and then I think there's an engineer,
Yes,
and
a
a scientist.
That's right.
And obviously, you need to train your workers up to become scientists and blah 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 at the school or university, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
And then it allows you to get more actions, more actions, do stuff. And the good thing about this is you place all your workers out. Is it in one?
Over, yeah.
You don't just place one worker.
You place them all. Yeah.
You place everything that you have, and then your next go is what they class as a retrieve action.
That's right.
And that's where the fun happens, because someone retrieves, and then you're like, right.
That's opened up all of the spaces.
It's opened up all the stuff now.
Yeah.
And it has a nice little bidding combination of because you can buy buildings
for your own player mat, right? Yeah.
And obviously you can take the one at the front, which is free or really low on money, or you can take the one at the top of the rack, which is 20.
Yeah.
Which no one wants to buy, but you might really, really want it.
It's like a market row of stuff.
It's a market.
Right? Yeah.
And it's great because we had a great game where I had loads of buildings and I thought I did well, and Ben just blew them all up. Just bombed them. Just bombed them like I was in the war, and I got no use out of them. But I had so much fun just trying to defend and build my factory back up. Yeah, because each player has a different sort of ability. I think his one was the RAF, which just allows him to bomb for free.
Yeah.
But there was so much to do, and we played it many, many times.
Yeah.
And then right at the end, you're like, oh shit, we need to build the bombs.
Build nuclear bombs.
There is that part to do. So you start building up, and you basically get, was it yellow cake?
Yellow cake,
and then convert into uranium and plutonium, and you get your little bits, and then you go up from there, build your bombs, get your items, get what you need, and accumulate enough stuff to get the maximum victory points.
It's a really, really solid game. And it's really cool because you might have, I can't remember what it is, 8, 9 workers, whatever. Eventually, you put one worker in the middle board and then as many workers as you can or want to on your personal board. So this is where the buying of the buildings is important, because you might want to buy a building that gets you lots of yellow cake, and then another building that you can train people into engineers, then another building that will improve your bombing ability, and another building that will do something else that will get you money. So you'll build one in the middle, and then you'll do a bunch on your board, and then the next player has a go, and then on the next turn you retrieve, and that's all you get to do. And when you do that, as Chris says, it opens the whole middle board up for a whole bunch of extra stuff. And it's much more interactive than many other worker placement games. Normally in worker placement games, the interaction is through denial, right? I interact with you, my opponent, by denying you a thing that you want.
Okay.
In this, the interaction is, I'm going to bomb your fucking buildings.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you can train up your spies, your espionage,
to use their buildings,
and then you use your workers
on their buildings, so they can't use
their building stuff, and you're like,
which is great. So it's using someone else's playable
spot, and you take a spot that they can use, and it's really fucking annoying.
Yeah, absolutely, really, really good. It's a really good game. It's a bit older now. I want to say it's 10 years old or more, maybe even 15, and it still holds up.
I do find that the main part of the worker placement game is very good, and then the second part of the bomb bit is a little bit.
Bomb building is a little, but
I would agree. It's a nice
agree.
little touch, because at the end you can also load it, which sometimes I never did, or you get more money, but it's not. You don't really need to do it.
It's a bit anticlimactic, the ending, right? Because you basically have to, it's a race to a certain victory point threshold. I think it's 30 points, 50 points, whatever it is. And each type of bomb that you want to build is a certain amount of points. Yeah. So through the process of getting buildings and training workers, I'm going to get yellow cake, turn that into plutonium and uranium, use that plutonium and uranium to build a bomb. When I build that bomb, it's going to get me 10 points or whatever. It's only 3 bombs and then the game's over. Do you know what I mean? Because each bomb is 10, 15 points a pop. So it might not sound like a lot, and it's not, but the game is still quite long.
Okay.
So it's weirdly anticlimactic in that way, but the process of playing the game is really fun.
Really fun, yeah.
It's the ride, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, mate, it's the ride.
Until people will blow up all your shit.
But then that game kind of lives and dies with who you're playing with. Well, like all games,
yeah.
It's
group,
the group dynamic. A Euro could be very boring if you're just
turn by turn,
You don't get immersed into it.
You have to not get salty when someone bombs your shit, because you have to spend at workers fixing it, and it's cost you money. It's a fucking nightmare.
Take it like a man.
Yeah, exactly. Just take it. It's the war. You bomb my shit. I'll bomb you back, or I'll spy on your shit. So exactly.
Nice. Again, never played it. Want to give it a go? You still own it, right?
Yeah, I own it. You should play it. It's good.
Yes, definitely. Anything else on that? If not, number 3s.
Let's do number 3.
Number 3s.
Number 3.
Number 3. My number 3 is on my list because it was the first worker placement game I ever played. And because I'm such a noob to the group, compared to you three here on the round of the table for me, this was the eye-opener for worker placements for me. Some say it's a Euro. I say it's the granddaddy of them all, Scythe.
Scythe.
Oh, yes.
Interesting.
When the first time I played this game, I thought, fuck me, I'm not going to like this. This is not going to be my cup of tea.
That was exactly.
That's what you thought, right?
And I played it for the first
I remember
time.
because I sat there with you, Jason, wasn't it? We played it at Wayne's.
We did.
I wasn't
yeah.
sure if it was the first time you played it or not either.
I think it was actually. Yeah.
But seeing that board, see that player board and all the pieces there, and I just thought, I don't know if I'm going to even know what to do. I'm going to be that annoying person who's like, wait, can I do this? Can I do that? And I think after like round 3 or something, I was just hooked. I was hooked. I fucking ordered that game the next day. I got my group into it. They fucking love that game. I can't get enough of it. I talk about it on this podcast too much. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but good God. But I wasn't too sure to put it on the list because I remember years ago, Wayne, when you first got me into the game, you said it was more a Euro than it was a worker placement game.
Yeah, more like an action selection Euro.
Yeah. So that's why I was worried to put it on the list or not.
I see what you mean. There's crossover between action selection and worker placement because you are putting your pawn, or your worker, I suppose, in that instance, on a space, and then you do a thing.
Yeah.
So based on that simple definition,
It's a worker
it's a
placement.
worker placement
It
game.
is,
Although
okay.
I would still probably call that an action selection game.
Okay.
But it's your list, mate. You put whatever you like, and you can apply that to, like I said, it's a really broad mechanism.
That's the thing, because like I said, it's on your playboard. It's not actually on the board that you do it. So that's why I was confused as to like, technically is this or not? But because it was my first that got me into the worker placement hobby, I thought, okay, it had to go on there.
It's a cracking game, mate. It's a beautiful game.
Yeah. So I can't keep going on too much because, again, go back and listen to my previous episodes. We'll go back to listen to Board Stupid and People Minded. I talk about this game too much. So,
little spoiler for my list. It isn't on my list. I did consider it because I do deem it as having worker placement elements.
Yeah.
Because of that action selection mechanism in it. And, Wayne's right. Action selection, worker placement, there's two in the same thing.
There is a grey blur in the middle.
It is. It's another one of the grey blurs.
Yeah, I'm not going to bore the podcast listeners with the minutiae of why I think they're different.
But you know why I said on the message board, I was like, is this it or not? So
that's all good.
I'll allow it because I might have something.
I'll allow it because I want to be invited back.
A little grey area.
And he said he's like, you fucking douchebag.
No. That's all good.
That's my number 3. Wayne, your number 3, sir.
My number 3.
Mr. Games Master.
Mr. Games Master. This is the one I don't own on my list.
Oh, okay.
Which is going to be unusual for me. I typically will only pick things from my list because I have the best taste in games. That's not true. Clearly. This is Everdell.
Ah, okay. I've still never played this game.
Everdell is bloody fantastic. My buddy Tom and podcast partner, he owns this and a bunch of expansions for it, and it's fabulous. Firstly, it's a really sweet theme, sort of woodland critters sort of building their own little habitat. The production is phenomenal, like beautiful pieces, great little resources, little rubbery little berries and little bits of wood and stuff like that you're collecting as part of the whole worker collection / resource collection side of it. And then the implementation of worker placement is great. It does a few things very interestingly. First, it's a combination of worker placement and tableau building. Right? So I place my worker, and I want to be able to put cards down in my tableau. So I've got a limited number of spaces in my tableau. I'll put my cards down, and they'll all do a thing, and they'll do things at different times of the game. Right? But that's smart too. The next thing that it does that's very interesting is it sort of plays over 3 seasons, right?
Right.
And your season is over, I think, when you've placed all of your workers and you've got nothing else that you can do on your cards.
Right.
Right. But I might go into, say, from spring to summer, and then from summer to autumn, before you've even, finished spring. So I might finish the game, completely and have nothing else to do, and, the rest of the table is, still doing stuff. It's really clever and really interesting how it does it.
Okay.
And it might be because I haven't played very efficiently. So I place all my workers, I don't get a lot out of it, and then I collect them. When I collect them all again, that's my season over.
Yeah.
Then I'll do the next season, boom, 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 boom. Collect them all, do the last season, boom, 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 and then that's it. If I'm smart about it, I would have placed my workers to get my resources, picked the right cards, which will then trigger when I've got these. I can spend these resources to get other things. That might allow me to get some other resources to do some other stuff, and maybe that will combine with this other card over here, or I'll place my worker on one of the cards that I've got on my tableau, and that will get me some stuff. It will upgrade something, and it will be a cascade of additional actions if I've done it correctly and I've thought about it. So the thing that makes Everdell sing is the planning, and it is really, really good, and it's really makes you feel smart when you get a really nice long season. If everyone else has moved on to summer and I'm still in spring collecting resources and doing my thing, I'm probably doing pretty well. And it's really clever how it does it. So beautiful theme, great combination of mechanisms, really clever integration of those mechanisms in a way that I haven't really seen done before.
Sure.
And a very smart game. Victory point, just most victory points at the end. Each card is worth a certain number of victory points. Some cards will encourage you to collect other cards of a type. It's got that sort of thing, I think, that you see in Seven Wonders, where if you have a certain card, other cards might be free.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, do you know that? So,
Chaining.
you can chain them together. So, for example, if I've got the king, then the queen might be free, right? For example, or the castle might be free if I've got this sort of family of cards. Otherwise, I'll have to spend resources to buy the cards and put them in my tableau. So it does that really well as well. I really like that. That's satisfying to me. So if I've got the post office, then the postal worker will be free, for example.
Yeah.
And I'll get a bonus for that, for having the two together. Really, really smart. So that's my number 3. Everdell. Wonderful, wonderful game. I don't own it.
Need to play it, or need to get Tom to organise a Everdell
Yes.
because I'm desperate to play that.
You would
Again,
like
again
it.
with Root, I need to replay that stuff as well. So.
Everdell is excellent.
Good choice, sir.
Very good choice. I haven't played that.
No.
Good, mate.
Have you played it, Chris?
No, but when I was doing my research and I was looking at worker placement games, like top, it was in every single list.
Yeah, it's
Everdell,
right up there.
Everdell. I was like,
That game is always to and fro, whether it's sold out at one point or it's in stock quite a bit. It's pretty well selling still to this day, isn't it?
It still sells, mate. They occasionally do a print run and get it. So, my recommendation is buy it. I mean, it's a mid-weight Euro if you like that type of game. And the theme is really inoffensive. Go get it. It's a great game.
Nice.
Yeah, real good.
Woodland critters that don't kill each other.
They don't, yeah. This is Root before the war.
Yeah. before the friendship split apart.
Yeah, before it went real bad.
Liking the sound of it.
Yeah.
Although, war. It's always good.
Play Root after, and you've got like a storyline.
Exactly.
There you go, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so my number 3 is Dice Hospital.
Dice Hospital.
Dice Hospital,
okay.
yes. Again, this game, I didn't really play it when it was first released. It didn't really appeal to me all that much. But then someone finally got me to sit down and play it, and I just really enjoyed it. It is, you've got the interesting mechanic of, okay, there's a buying phase where I'm buying upgrades to my hospital so that I can cure more of my dice patients and stuff like that. But then the worker placement aspect of it comes in because I've got a set amount of nurses, which, okay, I can only put one nurse in each room, but, okay, so if I put this nurse in this room, it's going to cure one dice that's on 1, 2, 3, or 4, and it'll cure it by 1. And if I do that, I can then put this nurse into this one and then cure another die, which is 5 or 6 by 1. But then you've got that constant aspect of... but you've got to heal as many as you possibly can per turn. Yeah. Because if you don't heal someone that turn, they go down by 1 at the end of the turn. If they get to 0, they're dead. They're out. They're in the morgue.
So this is the dice reducing, is it?
This is the dice reducing and
smart,
gaining. So
smart.
you've got, once you get a dice to 6 and you do like one more, it goes to 7, it's cured, it's out of the hospital. If it goes to 0, it's dead, it's in the mortuary.
Problem solved either way.
At the end of the game, everyone that's in the mortuary is minus 1 point.
Gotcha.
So you do have that really sort of conflicting thing in my mind of how funny would it be to just have loads of people in the mortuary at the end versus, oh yeah, well I've actually won. But there is a lot of thinking to be done because, like I said, it's interesting the way blends with that building and improving your hospital mechanic. Because, again, you're thinking, well, I've got these coloured dice, they can only be cured in this room, so actually that's a really good one to have. But then I get a better
It's the question who you sacrifice.
Exactly,
and stuff.
but then I need that colour nurse to go into that room to actually cure those patients. As like, well, I haven't really got many of them, so I kind of need to try and get some of those. Or maybe
So the
I need
mechanic is
different
dice
type of-
instead of meeples. Is that what it is?
So you've got little meeples.
Okay.
They're nurses. They are your worker placement aspect.
Right, okay.
But then you're curing the dice. So for every
Sounds real interesting.
it is a really, really interesting game. There is obviously a theme park version that they released. I don't think it's anywhere near as good.
Okay.
Quite frankly, I think it's shit.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Which is a shame because
Don't hold
I
back.
prefer the theme of that.
Yeah, sure.
But, you know, I'm going to give it more of a go. So I won't say it's totally shit. But yeah, Dice Hospital is a really, really good game. And I think it's really simple. Because it is literally a case of put a worker here, cure one dice by one. Unless it says otherwise. On a special room, you can do 2 dice for up by 1 or 1 dice up by 2. That kind of thing. But yeah, combination of worker placement and the, you know, board improvement mechanics works really, really well in that game.
Sounds great. I would like to play that
Yeah.
too.
We'll
Yeah.
have
Please,
to
same,
make
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, we keep talking about the catch-up palooza of just
Yeah.
doing like a big fucking day of catch-up games, but
It's trying to find time for everyone
Everyone
just
to
come
be off.
together, isn't it? Like
yes, mate.
all of my game days, as Ant will attest, they're always last minute.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
They are. Yeah.
With the fact that I live 2 minutes away from Ant, I can literally go, I fancy playing games tonight, do you fancy it? You know, and it's 6:30. We're going to start at 7.
Man.
You know, and I know I can do that with Ant. But
I guarantee everyone will be free summer. We should be outside, and
Yeah.
we'll be inside doing a catch-up loser.
Yes, mate. Exactly. Yes, mate.
that's what will happen. But yeah, my number 3, Dice Hospital.
Lovely.
Nice.
Nice.
Add it to the list, please, mate. Go on, Chris. Number 3.
Number 3 is a newer game. It's one that Wayne has brought back. I believe he brought it from Essen,
I might have done. Depends.
and it's Starship Captains.
Starship
Hey!
Captains, baby.
Yeah,
It's a great game.
No, I'd heard you talk about it on your reviews, and I got to it late, and I was really itching to play it. And then when we did, it was so good.
The hype was worth it.
The
isn't
hype
it?
was good, and then it was the only game that we've gone again.
Yeah.
And we've gone, yeah, all right.
Actually, yeah,
And we
we-
played it straight away again, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was such a great game.
Plays in about an hour, so it's easy to do
It
it.
was
Yeah,
easy. It didn't overstay its welcome, and it was easy to teach. The board and everything it's got that sort of like cartoony /
yeah. Cartoon
teenager
sci-fi.
theme.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess like a comic book sort of
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Like the solid meeples, they're like plastic. They look good. The colours are vibrant, and you have your ability to go and pick an action. You got your cards you choose from.
Yeah.
You pick them, you draw them, and then you're like, but the order of how you do the action, because there's always 2 actions that you can get, isn't there?
You're either going to place your crew either on your ship to do an action or on your like one of your tech bay actions.
Text base, yeah.
or your
And
other
then
rooms.
depending if you use the right one, you get the benefits of both actions or just one action.
Yeah.
But the fun of this game is like you said, is the queuing system of how you got to think about which ones you want in for your next hand.
Yeah.
Because you make that mistake the first game, you're like, oh, right, I understand what I'm doing now.
Yes.
Of how you
Starship Captains
get the queue system right. And that's where the fun of this game.
there's a lot of subtlety in that queue manipulation. Like it's really smart. So Starship Captains, you have your workers or your crew, right? And again, this is kind of a blend with action selection, but it is worker placement. You have a pool of workers, and you place them and get a
Place
thing.
them.
So when you place them to get a thing, they'll join like this queue in your spaceship. And as you know, as you've played it,
Yeah, such a
and
clever
as you have
system.
as well, yeah. And as you do that, you're building up this queue. And then when the round ends, you push that queue all the way down, and then you'll leave like a few people at the back of the queue. So you'll only get back the workers that you played first. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
the workers that you played last in the round, they're going to stay in the queue. So you have to think about the order in which you play those workers and the effects that you want. And it's real clever. I've never seen a game do that.
No.
It's brilliant how it's done, that queuing system, and the limitation it still gives you. Even though you're still gaining, you still got, well, I got a yellow. I really need a blue or in the red guy, so
exactly.
I like the thing that bit was awesome, but the abilities of the cards and the stuff where that makes everybody's game different.
Yeah, having your own tech for your ship.
I mean, I got this bit of tech that just allowed me to use anyone on a red or something, wasn't it? I had a really
you could like
kind of
use
cool,
other techs in the market. I think.
Yeah, I could use it. It was such a great card, and I had so much fun with this card. It was like, but it made the game so different. When it was like, I'd never seen that one come out.
Yeah, in that order.
That order.
Yeah.
It was like that was a really
interesting,
because there was a certain amount of colours that I did not need, and I was just piling up with red and yellows or something. I didn't need the blues or something.
You didn't need the blue guys, yeah, it's really great. That does some awesome things. Again, it's really flexible as well and quite forgiving. So if you don't have the right crew members that came out of your queue, God, crew and queue, that's weird on a podcast. So if you don't have the right crew members that popped out of your queue, you can change their colours by spending medals. But you need to earn those medals somehow by using your crew members to go and do stuff which gets you medals.
Yeah, exactly.
There is
really
a game of luck on it, but I believe this game is one game that you can genuinely get better at.
I think so too.
I think you can become... Someone could come really good at that game and because we can't play it anymore because
you kill everybody.
He's just too good.
Yeah. You've got a nice little traversal mechanism as well, so you're mooching around the galaxy doing missions, and then you're spending your workers to do the missions.
Yes.
But if you do that, it means you've got less actions.
Yep.
So there's a balance there as well.
Balance of what you want to do and how you want to do it.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah, see, that was another game that I considered going on my list. It was like Scythe. It went through my mind. I was like, it definitely has worker placement to it.
I think it is, mate.
But I was like, is it the core mechanism?
Actually,
I took it out because it wasn't the core mechanism.
Actually, if you'll find on BGG, it is a worker placement game.
It is.
Actually,
it is.
I don't want to be
actually
that guy, but
no, I know what you're saying. This is where it blends with action selection because it's an action selector, but with a pool of workers.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So I thought I was trying to steer clear of that really big grey fuzzy area, but it was on my honourable mention.
Yeah,
so
it's on my. I've only played
someone
the
said
once, so that's why it was going to be an honourable mention. A game I'm desperate to play again.
It's excellent. Yeah.
Really, really good game.
Yeah, we played it. I played it twice, but there's not many games like when you think about it. There's not many games that I played loads and loads of times. Anything more than once is a good game for me. It's like,
but for you to go, let's go again.
Let's go again.
I love getting that reaction out of people when you introduce it and they're like, "Yeah, let's go again." You barely get that.
Let's go again on a.
Yeah,
we've always played, not because we haven't. We've just always kind of played something else.
Do a variety of stuff right in a night. Normally, you do. You have a games night. You play a variety.
Play a variety of games, but it was just let's go again.
We
all went.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 100% one of the best games of 2022.
Definitely one of the best games of last year.
Loved it.
Yeah, my favourite game of last year, actually. I think it's probably the best one for me. Yeah, so
nice.
Good.
Number twos, then. Is it number twos?
Yes.
Yes, we are number twos. Number two.
Number two.
And I lose. See, I can't be going first all the time. I'm losing track of what number we are, for fuck's sake.
We've messed you up this podcast.
You proper messed me up.
Sorry.
I'm never prepared for this. Right.
Never again is Anne going to go
Never
first.
again. Ever. Right, my number two. Right. I put this on here. Right, I'm not saying that this is a better game than Scythe. Okay, when I put this in number
That's
two.
fair enough, mate.
I'm putting on here just for a specific reason, but I will explain. My number two is Fallout Shelter.
Cool. It's apparently a great game.
It's an honourable mention for me.
Honourable mention for you. Nice. I really love this game. Again, if you're a fan of Fallout, then you already know what it is. Jason's been playing it recently, and he's never played a Fallout game. But he seriously enjoys it. And this is going back to what I was saying about certain themes, like Dune, for example. No one knows what Dune is sometimes, but they still play. But the reason I love this is it's small, it's compact, but it has everything of a worker placement. And if you're a fan of the games, I've never had a bad play of it, should I say. Like, everyone has always enjoyed this when they don't even know what they're playing or know the theme to it, whatever. But simple as it is, if you've ever played the Fallout Shelter, there is an actual video game as well, Fallout Shelter, where you actually have to build your vault. The aim of the game is to build 6 sections of your vault. This is the end game mechanic. or the threat card comes out. So every time you put a meeple down, or a dweller, should I say, it's a dweller. You put a dweller down, does what it does. You earn a material, build a room, isn't it, Jason? And then you put threats on the board straight after. You have to roll dice as to where these things can pop up. And it's a case of, do I deal with that? Do I train them to be better and double the resources or whatever? It's just a simple deck of cards with a bunch of meeples. You only start with 2 dwellers at the time. That's up to 7 or 8, I believe you can get.
I believe it's 7 in total.
But it's that punishment. Do I earn resources or do I get more dwellers to get more actions later and whatnot? I just love it. The style of it is simple. It's easy. Little cubes, little cards, little dwellers. The reason why I put it before Scythe, I'm not saying it's a better game than Scythe, but I'm just saying I think it would be a good little introduction to other people to get into worker placements.
It's probably more of a worker placement game than Scythe is as well. So I think
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Just about what I was saying about the intimidation of Scythe. I mean, as much as I would love to get more people into that, when you see the big board, the setup and everything. Whereas with this, it's literally like a little lunchbox. Open it up, done. You're ready to go.
A card and some very small meeples.
Yeah. All the mechanics of it, trying to get the first player token, trying to get... there are upgrades that you can get to help you defeat threats and stuff like that. I highly recommend this game straight out the bat. And I think it's quite an underrated worker placement, personally.
Another underrated gem, mate.
Yeah.
Nice.
And if you've never played it, please give it a go. I guarantee you guys would really enjoy it.
Stick it on the list.
So
very, very, very good game. You obviously introduced it to me, I don't know, maybe a
few weeks ago.
A month, 2 months ago at this point. Really, really good, enjoyable game. I have no interest in Fallout whatsoever. So the theme just doesn't appeal to me at all on this game. Having played it, I don't feel the urge or need to go and play a Fallout game or even look into it. However, that is a very, very good worker placement game. I like the building mechanic again. And the different strategies that you can have is like, well, I can rush my building to try and end the game quickly.
Yeah.
Because if I'm building, chances are I'm building more happiness, which is your points value in the game. But then I've got more chance of rolling the die and spawning
Deathclaw in there,
whatever they're called,
Red Scorpion or something,
which then blocks off one of my rooms,
right?
Which is one less place that I can put my
workers in
worker. I like the fact that you can use other people's rooms as well, but you obviously have to pay them a resource in some way. Obviously, the original track where you can place your workers also suffer from those the villains and stuff coming out, and you have to defeat them in order to reveal that back out. It's just a really, really good way. I like the fact, I think for me, I've played it so many different strategies now.
You did, yeah.
Like, I think the first game, I just went for, right, I'm going
buildings,
to get more workers. Oh, yeah, more buildings in the first game. The second game, I went, no, I'm going to get all the workers up front and build nothing, because then I'm not going to take, any of the bad guys on my level. And then once I had all my workers, right, build. I'm going to have that one.
That one.
Gain resources. I nearly always had a full resource track so that when a building came out that I wanted, I can build
straight
that.
away.
Nice.
There's so many different ways you can win that game, and such a small box.
Really, I'm looking at the box; it's tiny.
Yeah.
Do you know, I really like worker placement games that allow you to fight with other people's stuff. Right. So that is great, where you can put your worker on someone else's stuff. Everdell does that as well, where you can put your workers on their things, on their cards. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Manhattan Project as well. You can put your workers on it. So
okay,
kind of quite like that. It adds another layer of interaction. But I would like to play that. Add that to that.
It's under an hour, if that isn't it?
Oh yeah,
well,
I think
even better.
We've played it in half an hour.
Nice,
pretty much. Once you've had your rules explanation, I'd say as someone who doesn't like Fallout or give a damn about Fallout, I'd say the theme is it's there.
Yeah,
and I'm sure someone who plays Fallout Shelter, the actual video game, might appreciate this
recognise
a bit more
the
than
Easter
me.
eggs and stuff. Yeah,
will recognise the Easter eggs, but I think really you could probably think of that theme as something else, and it would work just as well.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
There you go. Fallout Shelter, very, very good pick, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Number 2, Mr. Games Master.
My number 2, I don't think any of you have played, which is a real shame because you bloody should. This is probably one of my favourite games that I've picked up of late. Went right into my top 10 of all time, I think, is Beyond the Sun.
Yes.
I've talked about this a couple of times, and it is.
I never knew this was worker placement.
It's fucking great. Okay. Yeah. So it's the the vast bulk of the game, I guess, is the tech tree. Right?
Yeah,
That's like the game, I suppose, is this sort of evolving tech tree. And you are a spacefaring company, and you are trying to get the technology to get the most victory points and get the most control over the various planets of the galaxy, and that'll get you points, right? So, but it bases that off of a worker placement mechanism, which is really cool and really mean. So, you have one worker, and that worker you'll place it on on the board, and you'll enact the effect. It might be research new technology. It might be get a resource. It might be turn that resource into something else. It might be get a ship. As you progress through the game, you're going to be unlocking new technologies in your tech tree, and then you've got more spaces to put your workers. But of course, other people are going to be researching those technologies too, and so that's where the worker placement denial bit comes in, right? If I unlock a new technology that allows me to launch 3 ships into the galaxy and colonize a planet, and I think that's amazing, if you get there before me, that's my turn fucked. I really have to think about what I want to do now. So I have to maybe I have to pivot. I'll have to spend some resources to research a different technology. I'll have to do something else. Maybe I'll spend some time on the sort of galaxy area control board and move my ships around to do something else. Really, really amazing game. Like the production, bit dry, not terrible, just a bit dry.
Okay.
In terms of just pure production value, the game itself though is fucking great. Really, really good. So, a couple of things: amazing tech tree, probably the best tech tree in games. Really, really good. Your own player board is really cool. You've got a bunch of these cubes which are like resources. They look like dice, but they're not. They're like different faces for the same resources, right?
Okay.
They represent your population. They also represent your ships, which you can then use for the other part of the game. Then you've got this. So you've got your tech tree. Then you've got your player board, which has all your resources on it, and then you've got this area control bit off to the side, which is where you're going to put your ships, and you're going to be contesting for the most amount of presence on the different planets. And when you get those, when you can colonize those planets, they'll give you a bonus as well. It's just fantastic. A really great combination of mechanisms. And again, this is something else that I like in worker placement, when it's layered. When they layer it with something else.
Okay.
And this layers a really tight, mean worker placement economy with the feeling of progression through getting more technology for your company, and a really mean area control where you're trying to dominate planets with the most force to collect those planets, because those planets are like victory points. Then there's also objectives in the game, and objectives will get you points. It's just really fantastic. I think a expansion is due soon.
Okay. How old is this game?
Not that old, couple of years.
Okay.
I want to say 2021. If not, I want to say 2021. Rio Grande is coming out with an expansion very soon. It was meant to come out a while ago, but got delayed for whatever reason. And I will be buying that immediately. And you folks need to play it. I think it's amazing. It's Beyond the Sun.
Nice.
Another one I need to add to the list, please, mate. You own it, right?
I own it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favourites right now. It's great.
Yeah.
Worth a pop.
Nice. Look forward to that.
Okay, so what number are we on now?
Number two.
Number two. So my number 2 is the one that's on my list that I think I'm pushing into that potential grey area, but I'm going with Flamecraft.
That's a worker placement game. As far as I know.
Yeah.
See, that's on my honourable mention. It was so close to going in.
Yeah. Again, one of the best games of 2022.
One of your favourites last year, wasn't it? Yeah.
Indeed. In fact, that probably was my favourite. It's one worker. You have your one worker, but you are moving it from one place to another and then performing a bunch of actions in whatever shop that you've placed it in. I like the fact that, again, the game is ever expanding as to what you're doing, because as people start doing actions, they have the ability to add more artisan dragons to that shop, which is in turn going to make that shop more powerful. And when whoever goes there next is going to get more stuff from it. And it's just... I'd never really thought of it as a worker placement when I first played it. And it's only after the second or third go, I was like, actually, no, this is...
If you have one
gussied up worker placement.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you've got one worker, it can still be worker placement.
Exactly, yeah. And, ultimately, I just think it's a really well-constructed game, one of the best games that they released last year. The theme is so cool. Artisan dragons that just go around doing nice stuff around the town and building an awesome magical town.
Such a great little theme.
It's a nice, like, it's a cute, adorable theme, mate. This is it's the Everdell effect. Like, it's a really
100%,
sweet theme on top of a really interesting game.
And it took the gaming world by storm.
It did,
when it came out, and even now, it's still selling exceptionally well.
Yeah.
I think Ant has you've played it and
I own it. I own it.
I still haven't played it.
Yeah, we need to make that happen.
Yes, mate.
Absolutely love it.
I'm behind the times,
is it
mate.
Arcane Wonders and Lucky Duck Games? I know it's definitely Lucky Duck. I'm
Lucky
pretty
Duck
sure
definitely did it. Yeah.
might be
Arcane Wonders?
It might not be
They
Arcane
did
Wonders.
Smartphone
Actually.
Inc.
No, it's not Arcane Wonders.
Well, we'll see.
Cardboard Alchemy. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Cardboard Alchemy and Lucky Duck.
That's a good chat, mate. Because I was looking through this, thinking, is it worker placement? And then I had to I had to Google that shit, and it's like, it is. All right, honorable mention, it is then.
Well, I was going to say I didn't actually check that one on BGG to see if it had that listed, but yeah, for me, it is a worker placement with all these other little bits on there just to sort of change it up a little bit.
I'm glad you got it in there. I thought it might be number one, but I'm glad
Lust
it's there,
Production
mate.
as well in that game. Yeah, I need to play that. Yeah.
No,
Chris, before you
Flake
do
Off.
yours, have you played Wayne's number 2?
Beyond the Sun.
Beyond the
Yeah.
Sun?
No.
No.
No, you guys need to play it. I've been hoarding that to myself and my team, and that's it. So, and a couple of other rare folks.
Nice.
No, it's real good.
Real friends.
Yeah, yeah, not like
Those
you.
real gamers he
Yeah,
has.
fucking
Real gamers.
reprobates. No, it's
It's
I've
like the
had to have
fine
a chance.
China.
I'm sitting
We
with
get
a
this
bunch
out
of
for the-
brigands at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. you brigands and thieves. No, it's good. But
Chris, number 2, sir.
Number 2. It is a crossover.
Ooh, it's definitely not with me.
No, it's with Jason.
Hey!
Damn
And it's due to my love of Blood Rage.
Yes.
And it is, was it Raiders of the North Sea?
Raiders
Nice.
of the North Sea.
It is Blood Rage,
The Euro
the
game.
travel version.
Yeah, the
I
travel-
like to call-
travel
yeah, you know, if you're in the car, travel version, it's standard. But no, it's not that small. But you know, like when you always got the travel games on.
No, in all
the,
fairness, it was, because when he popped it out from Essen, I'm like, I was expecting it to be a bigger box, honestly. And it's like, no, this is it. And
It's
I'm
a
like,
normal
oh, okay.
board game size box.
just normal board games, but like, yeah, it was really. The theme I liked, anything with Vikings, I'm kind of sold instantly. Kind of, shit's going to go down.
Yeah, Vikings matter.
Shit's about to get real.
Shit's about to go down. So, and like you touched on earlier, that thought of I'm going to put my worker here, and then to take another worker puts a real spin on things. It makes you really, really think. Or if someone puts a worker there, I can now do what that worked better for me because I can put
pick that one
down
up. Yeah,
and I can take his without having to do that next time as my action. And it works great. And the reason why I like this, every time we've had a game, it's been tight.
It's close
It's
as fuck.
And it's ruthless in the sense of like we're just gunning
It's
for pillaging.
gunning. Yeah, exactly. It's ruthless in terms of those pillage points, right? Because there's only a limited number of them, and the game will end when a certain number of them have been taken. And once you take like somewhere to pillage and you get all the resources, no one else can take that. You take it all. It's really smart. So I suppose again more denial.
Yeah, I found that it's very swingy. You go, oh, well, you're going to win this, but without like doing it so much that you lose interest because each section you kind of work up. So you find like, oh, he's getting the first section, but you're building your resources, and then you come along and you smash all the second section, and you soon catch up on whatever's been made.
Right. That's right.
I think it works great as a 2-player.
Does
3-player
really.
was good. Anything more, and it's really kind of hard.
It's tight already.
It's very tight to get your workers on it. And you're always like one go behind what you want to do on a 4-player game. I think you go, well, I'll do that next go, next go. And then but you always, I found that it's one of those games that I can do this. And then, mate, he's in the end game, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
The game comes around so quickly. The end game, you kind of
It will always come as a little bit of a surprise.
you kind of like, no, but I haven't won yet.
You suddenly
That was my experience. I'm like, wait, it's over? What?
Yeah, like
I still got to do this
I
yet.
still got to win.
you could be so into the game, and suddenly you're like, oh shit, there's only one of these places left to raid. It's over. I'm like, fuck. Yeah, or like all of these offerings to the chief, they're nearly gone. Like, it doesn't take much. I mean, and the game we're playing a good hour and a bit.
There was always something to do.
Yes.
And it was one of those games that you can get better with, because you
Yes.
kind of like, right, I could do this combination, that combination, and you kind of know what you need to do. Mm-hmm. And even the bit of losing your guys is not.
You get points for that. Anyway.
You don't feel like I don't want to do it because you're going to
Valhalla.
Valhalla. It's
a
the
Viking
place to
thing.
be.
Yeah, exactly. You get points by killing your dudes off.
Killing your
It's
dudes
great.
off. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it's a fucking good pick, mate.
For Valhalla. Right, it's the final ones.
It's number 1.
Right, here we go. We're down to the meat and bone of it, guys. And how many clashes have we had? 2 so far?
We've had 2. You clashed with
Yeah, it's
Jason.
not too bad.
I clashed with you with June Imperium.
That's not too bad then.
Yes.
Bad, mate, yeah.
Right. Everyone knows what one of one's going to be, so let's just get it over and done with. Lost Ruins of Arnak.
I knew it had to be on your list.
Had to be.
It had to be on your list.
It's on one of my favourites. If you go back and listen to Board Stupid's episode, it's probably my favourite worker placement of all time. Well, it is because it's on the list as number 1.
That's number 1.
It's practically Dune Imperium, but with Indiana Jones, Aztec, Amazon type theme, really, isn't it?
Yes, I played this for the first time with you recently.
That's right.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
It is.
The reason why I like it is you only have 2 meeples throughout the game, don't you? But there is so much more you can do on this board. So obviously your meeple would go there to go to game resources or find new campsites, whatnot. But you have other cards in your deck that give you free actions to buy something at a shop or to get you different resources to go discovering temples or researching temples or buying artifacts. And there's a lot more you can do to this with this game. Defeating guardians to get even more resources. It's just what I want. It kind of like, it's in my... it's kind of got a place in my heart because of what I used to play as a kid. Those very much Indiana Jones type board games like, Fireball Island and all that sort of stuff. Just up the alley of that sort of theme to it. And when it came out, I was like, I'm not too sure about this because, again, it's probably the first worker placement before I played Doom with the deck building aspect to it. I've never played the 2 at the same time.
Yes.
So I didn't think I was going to like it. But then when I just clicked with it and I love the artwork and I love how the board is mapped out. And then even on the core box, you've got 2 different maps. You've got a harder and an easier version, whatnot. The expansion changes it completely because you in the core game, you're just explorers, whereas in this one you're actual characters that you can do abilities and change your game up completely. I can't get enough of this game. This is one of those games I've introduced to my guys, and it was very much the same sort of experience I had with, you said, Chris, with one of your games with Captain Starships, was let's play again.
Yeah.
Let's go right now. And again, we've got a bunch of shit to get through the whole day, but it's like, nope, let's do this again. I don't think I've ever had a bad play with it. I've got, like I said, I've got other people into it. No one has said a bad thing about it yet. I hope they're honest, obviously, of course.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it was wicked. Do you know what? It does. That's quite interesting. I don't often play games that have deck building mechanisms that give you a bonus as soon as you can take that card.
Yeah.
And then you put the card on top of your deck to then draw. That is so rare. So it always feels like you're getting stuff.
Yeah.
So it's triggering that little sort of
It's making you buy it, isn't it?
in your
Yeah.
brain.
At the bottom,
Like,
don't you? You have to wait and you have to
or
go
in your discard
through.
pile and then reshuffle it in. No. It's like it always triggers a little. Oh, you get a thing. Oh, you get a thing. Oh, there's some. You get a little reward. So you get a reward for taking the card, and it goes on top. So you know you're getting it next. I've never really played a deck building game.
yeah,
like
because
that.
usually it's straight in the discard pile,
yeah.
isn't
So
it?
then
sort
you
of
got to
thing.
wait, reshuffle it, and you get to get through all your shit cards first.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's a great game. The theme is really cool. The production's nice. You got the little extra meeply bits and stuff. Little
Yeah, we've got Manesson. Yeah,
that's
they
right.
Just,
the
yeah.
deluxe little bits. It's really good, mate. I need to play it a couple of times
Yeah.
more. to really digest it. But I think that could.
I need to get Simon to play. He's been desperate to play that as well.
Chris
so.
will be up for that.
Have you not played it yet?
No, anything to do like Indiana Jones, Uncharted, that sort of.
Yeah.
That is my.
That's your thing.
That is
That's
my.
a good, that's a
I
good
love
thing.
that sort.
I'm
of
glad you
Good
finally got to
thing.
play it. Those.
Yeah, I'm
ones.
chuffed.
Yeah.
I got to play it, and I'd play that again in a heartbeat. It's really good. It's a great pick.
But yeah, I can't deny it. Number one,
Cracking.
Excellent pick.
Games Master.
My number one is a 3-way crossover, and you know what it is at this point. Yeah, it's got to be Raiders of the North Sea.
Yes,
Raiders of the
nice.
North Sea. Shem Phillips' genius design. I've held back a little bit on saying stuff about it because this is my number one, and it's my favourite worker placement game.
Sure.
For a whole number of reasons. The flow of the game is phenomenal, right? Everyone starts with exactly the same stuff. You have a worker, right? You have some coins, and then you have some crew. And this is where the game gets super interesting. That sort of deck of crew cards you can use in one of two different ways.
I forgot the crew.
Yeah, right? And you can either play the card for like a card effect and it'll do a bonus. It could be something mean, like take a command from your opponent, or it'll give you a discount on something, or it'll get you a resource or something like that. Or, instead of playing the card for its effect, you can pay to hire that crew member and he'll go in your ship. Like permanently. And he'll add his strength to your total strength of your crew. And you need a strong crew in order to raid some of the locations on the board. Because some of the locations on the board have like a strength rating. And
The crew's the cards, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's right,
Yeah,
They look mean as well. They
Yeah.
don't kind of go with the rest of the art.
They look like
actually
big,
proper,
beefy, like
Yeah, I
Viking
completely
folks.
forgot about the
Like
card
Blood
aspect to
Rage,
it.
those sort of
Yeah.
Viking cards.
And the card play is really smart.
Yeah.
So yes, the worker play. So here's another great thing to love. The worker placement is so sharp. The game is boiled down to like brilliant. Place a worker, pull a worker, get those effects, and it's so clean, so well designed. But on top of that, you have this really amazing card play where you're choosing whether I want to play the card effects or stick them in my crew of my ship. And when they're in the crew of my ship, they'll have their own special ability as well. That will be different from their card effect. So they're like sort of dual-use cards. And I like games where you have dual-use cards too.
Absolutely.
You have a little bit of dice chucking, not a lot, just a gentle bit. So you like, for some of the more difficult places that you go and raid, you need a strong crew, and then it helps you out by chucking a couple of dice to add to your total strength. You can spend resources to upgrade your armor, the armor of your ship and your crew, and that will add to your strength too. As Chris said, some of the locations at the beginning of the game, you're going to seed all of the different raiding spaces with like random resources, and some of those resources will kill you. They're the Valkyries. They're little black skulls. So say, for example, I want to go and raid this farm or whatever it is, and there's like a couple of gold bits, there's some iron in there's a cow, and then there's also a Valkyrie. When I go there and raid, so I've built up my strength, I've got all the required resources to go and raid it, I go to raid it, that Valkyrie will kill one of my crew members in my ship, so I have to discard one of those cards, which is awful.
Yeah.
But if that happens a certain number of times, I'm going to get points at the end of the game because it's glorious death in battle. So there is an entirely legitimate strategy as the game comes to an end to just suiciding your
Again,
dudes.
it's really sacrifice, isn't it?
That
Yeah.
was mine. One of the crew members that I got, wasn't it? He goes, if killed, just put straight back into your...
So back into your hand to then
straight
hire
back into
again.
your hand, and you just go straight back into the boat.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do that, and you still get your Valkyrie points for that, and then you go straight back in your boat to do it again. So there's that. Card play is phenomenal. The flow of the game is great. So you've got this wonderful little build-up in the village area, right? So you're getting your coins, you're getting your supplies, your little resources, and then after you've built up for a bit, you go raiding. And then eventually you run out of resources, so you have to go back home and then build up again. And then you raid a little bit further up the island, and then you come back down and you go again.
right.
And then you have to build up the most amount to go to the very top of the island, which has like the hardest sort of, I suppose, prerequisites in order to go and raid there. Like you need a full crew of 5 dudes. You need like to spend gold to get up there because it's such a long journey. You need to spend like 6 provisions, I think they're called, the provision resources.
Was it, you got iron,
Iron,
stone, gold, isn't
yes,
it?
that's right. So that's the raiding side of it. You'll get points for all of that sort of stuff, but there's another way that you can get points as well. So not just by raiding, which is a great way to get points, but also through giving and donating your resources to the chief. So there's like these tiles, and the tiles will have pictograms on them of certain numbers of resources. So, for example, it'll be the chief wants 2 bits of gold and a coin. If on your turn you place your worker on the sort of the chieftain space, you can give him those resources and take that tile, and that tile's worth points at the end. And so you can spend your game doing a little bit of raiding and then just gift it all to the chief. And you will quite happily get a shit ton of points.
Cheap makes...
You get
That's what made our game so tight.
real tight, because you were doing a lot of raiding, I think, and I was like, Chief, have all my shit.
Chiefing it up.
Yeah, I was like just buttering the chief up, getting points that way, and because you like reveal those at the end, and it's just, yeah, I'm excited as shit to talk about this game because this is my favourite worker placement game. I think Shem Phillips is a genius for this. It's just a brilliant game. It's got no unnecessary fluff. It's not over complicated. You could teach this to most people. It's not a simple game, but it's not stupidly difficult either. That was my number one worker placement game.
You mentioned that there's a lot of others released on the same creator.
Shem
same
Phillips.
sort of, so is it near enough the same mechanic? Is it the same theme? Is it all related to it?
So
or?
his thing is working with worker placement mechanisms. So the thing that he did here was blend the card play with the placer worker, puller worker, which is the magic thing, right? I think it's Architects, not Paladins. Architects, the Western Kingdom. You've got like 20 workers, right? And you can like pull them onto a space to make that space more powerful. Does that make sense?
Right.
Right, and the more you put on there, the more effective that space is going to be, which is another really interesting way of doing worker placement. Yeah. So he does, but then the more you've got on there, the less you've got left to do other stuff. So really, he's a clever dude. So he plays with worker placement in very different ways. So it's not the same game. So if people are interested in getting Paladins and then Raiders of the North Sea, you're going to be playing two very different games.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get. I wasn't.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, you're going to be getting two completely different games.
That's good. Yeah.
And South Tigris apparently is the most complex one he's done yet. And again, completely different looking game. I saw a little preview of that. I was like, wow, that looks amazing. Yeah, really good. Great artwork. Great game. Not particularly expensive. Small little box. Yeah, my favourite worker placement game and one of my favourite games of all time.
Nice.
I think the whole series of the East, South, West games, because obviously they do trilogies of 3 games in a section, so it's like Raiders of the North Sea.
Yeah, then there's the Western Kingdom series,
You've got
and then the South Tigris series.
Yeah, now they've got the South Tigris series, and then I think they've already announced the East, which is, I believe,
East
an Asian.
something or other, yeah.
But they're not all Viking themed, right?
No,
not
they're
at
all
all.
very different.
Yeah.
I think that was mainly the theme of the North, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
was
right.
the Vikings,
Yep.
yeah. But yeah, really, really good. As I said, I was tempted to put it in the number 1 slot myself, but I figured you probably would. So.
Yeah, it's just bloody great, mate. I mean, again, like you said about a couple of the games on your list, I've never had a bad game of this.
Yeah.
And this is the game I reach to when I'm not sure what to play.
Right?
There's always one of those games that you've got in your collection. Like, I don't know what I want to play. I think I'll play
It
this.
doesn't matter what mood you're in.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not sure today. I'll play Raiders.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
This was so close, and I mean really, really close to being my number 1. It's just...
Something else took the spot.
Yeah, I've just gone for it. I've shut it.
That's fair enough. It's cracker, mate.
Nice. Good pick, sir. Nice. Jason,
Do
number
we
1.
want to have a guess what my number 1...
Dinogenics! No, I honestly thought it was going to be Flamecraft, but that's number 2. So my pick is out.
Okay, so you think it's Dinogenics?
Is it Dinogenics?
It is
Dinosaur
not.
Island.
It's not Dinogenics.
It's not Dinogenics.
Dinosaur Island.
I'm leaving. Fuck
Well,
this.
I think I'm going to pass out.
Yeah, I know. It is Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Oh,
Is it really?
It is.
No way!
No way!
It is.
It's another crossover.
Yeah, there you go. I managed to do a list without putting Dinogenics in it, despite the fact
It has worker placement.
that it is full-blown worker placement game. Also,
Wow.
aside, I genuinely wanted to create a list without having Dinogenics in it.
That's fair.
So, additional mention, Dinogenics is ground
Honourable
zero.
mention.
Yeah, okay.
Dinogenics is ground zero for me. Really, really good. But anyway, Lost Ruins of Arnak, played it quite a lot recently. I think it was Ant, you first introduced me to it.
It was a comic shop, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really enjoyed that. I've played it. It's probably my most played game on Board Game Arena.
Wow.
One of my friends also has it, so I've played this game a ton. And I didn't play it for about a year after it came out. Not for not wanting to. It got loads and loads of attention from everyone, and it kept selling out everywhere, and it was gutting me that I couldn't get it to the table. Then I found out Ant had it,
Yeah.
and we finally managed to nail down a date. And yeah, everything you said about this game is just exactly what I would say. It's so limiting with those just 2 workers.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like the game is limiting.
Yeah.
So, okay, I've only got 2 workers to do certain actions, but I've
got like
do
4
all
kinds.
of this other stuff, which will actually make those actions even easier and better. So I'm going to do all this other stuff first, and there's another track to gain points up here. I can upgrade my character by doing this. If I kill this, if I go here and
If I put my idol up here, I can do this.
I can do this. If I, take over that area or I research that area and I manage to kill whatever it is that comes out, that's going to give me some kind of bonus.
Yeah.
There's just so much going on, but it's not difficult or complex.
No, because literally last time you're like, right, that's done, right, but I can do this. Oh, that
Yeah.
card lets me do that, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, and it doesn't suffer from that same thing that most worker placement games get. Is that, someone might block you from gaining a resource.
Yeah.
But there's always something you can do with your workers. They never just sit there doing nothing. So it's like, I don't really need that resource, but I might as well. I've done everything else I want to, but if I take that resource, chances are it will benefit me in the next turn.
Yeah.
And it was really good to actually play the game with yourself, Wayne, because I know it was a game you were really looking forward to.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I could see you were in the same mindset as when I first played. It was like, okay, I can see what's going on here. And then the cogs start whirring.
Yeah.
And as I said, worker placement gets my mind going 2, 3, 4 turns ahead.
Absolutely.
Yet you can't go 4 turns ahead in Lost Ruins of Arnak because it's only, 5 turns?
Yeah, if that.
And it's just sort of like, well, hang on a minute. No, I'm actually on a time limit here. It's not that we're going to keep going until an end game condition is met. It's like, no, there is a strict 5-round thing.
It will end.
And I'm like, oh, God, okay, so I can't take my time doing this. I need to rush. And that's what I like about it, to be honest, is that extra level of it's a race.
Yes.
There's a race to get as much
I
as
actually
I
forgot
possibly
about that
can.
as well, yeah. Quite right.
And that is something, again, I can't think of another worker placement game where I'm under such pressure to get stuff done quickly
Yeah.
and to
Time
maximum
runs
effect.
out. Interesting.
So there you go. Lost Ruins of Arnak.
I honestly would never ever thought that would be above Flamecraft. You Flamecraft the shit out of Flamecraft last year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Flamed that craft, mate. You flamed the fuck out of
you
it.
flamed the fuck out of the Flamecraft. It's just called Craft now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, I'm very surprised.
No flame
Good-
left. Yeah.
Good pick, sir.
But yeah, Lost Ruins of Arnak, fantastic game.
Great.
Can't wait to play the expansions.
Yes, yeah, we have to do Lost Expeditions.
Ooh,
Yes,
Yes, we
please,
do.
Yeah.
Invite me, please.
Chris, bring it home, baby. Number 1.
Right. So, my number 1, I mean, my number 2 could have quite easily been number 1, but this one is a game that I genuinely own, and it was a game that I didn't think it was a worker placement / Euro or until I really got told and thought about it.
Right.
And this is by a guy called Eric Lang, and it is The Godfather.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
baby.
I've never played it. That's worker placement.
Yeah.
I've
Is it?
always kind of thought more of it as an area control / model, miniature.
That's what I heard. It
Dudes
was.
on a map kind of game.
Dudes on a map. But when you break it down a bit, you get your mob worker, you place
Okay.
it, you get an action, you do a thing, you pay the boss.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So but it allows you to go there, do something. But the way that Godfather has done it is the production's so great that it masks itself to not be a worker placement game.
This is the Eric Lang effect, right? The Eric Lang and Simon effect, where he makes Euro games which trick people into thinking they're not Euro games.
Yeah.
He done it cleverly because I never knew that at all.
It's
No,
a fucking
never
Euro
knew that.
work
So
placement game, mate.
Because you have your your gangsters
Yes,
and
your family
Catholic,
member, yeah.
Was it capos?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
and they all have different actions. They allow you go to an action, and it's basically extort. So you go to a shop, and if you're just a normal guy,
You go in the front of the shop.
front of the shop, and you get
a resource or something, right?
was
Yeah.
it weapons, drugs, money?
That's right, one of the 3 resources.
But then
or
if you
whatever.
go in as a mob boss, you shake down the back
of the
of
shop.
it where there's the racketeering stuff going in. And at the same time, you then get your little, you get your money and your stuff. But the great thing about this, you get your little treasure chests,
Yeah,
which is like a suitcase.
I was going to say, this is one of the tin suitcase
that's
things,
right.
isn't
You
it?
get your money and you put it in, and like, there's just so much production about this game that I didn't think it was a worker placement or a game. But just listening to everything, I was like, no, it definitely is. You know,
Well, it's a good thing you looked into it then.
Well, yeah, I've got it here. What is it?
I know, I'll take your word for it. I'll show it.
No, it was what made it. Oh, it's going in at number one.
Yeah.
Because it was like, this is a Euro-style game, worker placement with area control, hard management, set collection, all blended seamlessly together.
Exactly.
Nice.
It's even highlighted for me. So I was like, right, it's mine. It's everything that I've ever had, and it's probably one of the games that I've got to the table.
It's fucking good. This is one of Eric Lang's most underrated games, I think, in terms of the big production single
it's
ones.
dying for an expansion.
It is. It's never going to get one.
No, it's never going to get one, but it really needs one.
And like, it's wicked. You're 100% right. It is a worker placement game. You've got two different types of workers. You put them in a spot, and you're denying someone else that resource. You put it there, and you get the thing, or you get to either take a mission, or you get to take one of the three resources in the game, or something else happens. It's absolutely bloody fantastic. It has area control as well, but that happens after the worker placement bit. So the game, like the turn order, is you place a worker, you place a worker, you place a worker, then I do it, right? And you're collecting the effects. Everything else sort of happens after that. Really, really bloody good. Yeah, I like the blend or difference between your sort of gangsters and your capos.
Yeah.
When you place your gangster in the front of the shop, you, like Chris says, you get the one sort of thing. The capo who goes around the back gets to shake down all of the connecting shops.
Oh, okay.
Right? So...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so like...
you get three or different...
You get two or three different
So there's a
things.
very tactical place of, I need to put my capo there.
Yes.
Because I want that, and that. But then this is where the denial bit comes in.
Someone else
goes...
There you go, fuck you.
You're buggered. And that's the...
And there's normally some really prime spots.
Tom set.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I put my capo here, right, I'm going to get 3 guns, which is going to allow me to like basically do this job and gun down that other guy's stuff. Brilliant. And if you put that there, I'm like, fuck, I'm really going to have to think about it, because I know that eventually you're coming for me with a drive-by or some car bombing or something like that.
Yeah, because your jobs are, you can do a drive-by,
Yeah.
car bomb,
Yeah,
racketeering, drug deal.
There's all sorts of stuff like that.
And
yeah.
it's all about collecting the set management and the resources to be able to go
Do
and
jobs.
do this job.
And it's wicked. And it's ruthless as well. And yeah, eventually...
And then at the same time, when you do kill, because you do drive-bys and you do full-blown murders.
Full-on murder other gangs.
So going back to the question I said earlier about the theme, is that a big help factor with this game?
This one really was. It was one of the it was the first game I ever bought due to how well the theme looked, because it was a theme I liked and it just looked.
And it's a worker placement game that does that interaction.
Worker placement is
really
area control is like my favourite. I love a bit. Just
Area
dudes on the
control,
map. Let's go. But the little touches make it so great.
This is different from a normal dudes on a map game, right? 'Cause with dudes on a map, normally you put your dudes on the map and then they move around the map and they do stuff. Yeah. They don't move around in The Godfather.
No,
you stick them there, and the area control is sort of
they're locked.
They're locked. You sort of work that out later,
and that's the denial bit.
Yeah. It's really smart. Really,
Nice.
really, really, really fucking good game. I think it's an amazing, amazing pick.
If you don't mind teaching it,
No,
to play it, mate.
It's not even that difficult.
It's not even that difficult.
No.
It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's really, really well done.
Bloody
and that's
good.
why I think I had it as my own. I think it was on my games I would never sell.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
For that very reason, just for how much fun it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you know what? It's something else I remembered about this game. It doesn't really matter how much money you've got in your hand. It only matters how much money you've managed to launder and put in your briefcase.
Right.
And there's only certain spots on the board that allow you to launder money. And it's really smart how it gives you money, because whenever you earn money as a reward for a job, you have to take it in exactly the denominations it tells you. So if it says take $6, but in a 3 and a 3, you have to take that 3 and that 3.
Got ya.
Right. So you end up sometimes with loads of money just through doing jobs, but it's all shit denominations. So if you then go to one of the laundering places, it will allow you to launder 2 pieces of money, right? And all I've got is ones. I'm like, fuck. But Chris over there is doing jobs that are paying out,
Threes.
denominations in 3s and 5s. Then when he goes to launder, it's way better. So there's a whole bunch of great stuff to consider like that. So there's loads of sort of strategy around the types of jobs that you do.
The gift to the Don at the end, where you got the hand management. You don't
Yeah,
want to
it's
lose
brutal.
anything.
So what's the end game factor to it? Is it the most money at
Cash
the end?
in your briefcase.
Cash in the
laundered,
briefcase.
laundered money.
Right. Only money is in your briefcase, but it's still not safe because the other gangsters can come
Take
and
stuff out your
racketeer
briefcase.
Oh,
your-
shit.
and they know if you're doing well, you go, right, I'll go for a racketeer.
I seen you've put like 6 $5 notes in there. I know you're
There
doing
is
well.
a racketeering one where the perk will be take 3 cards from another player's suitcase,
Right.
and then you do your bit, and you do it, and you go, oh, well, he's coming for me now.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
it
you want to
gets
put
ruthless.
You want to put a few low denomination ones in launder.
You gotta put the
launder a
ones
couple
in.
of few, like just not too many, but a couple, just so if people do come after you, you can give them the shit denominations out of your briefcase. If you've got nothing but high value notes in there, then when you get caught with that job, then you're just giving your opponents so much cash. It's really good. Great game.
Yeah, and then, obviously, if you love Eric Lang or anything he's done,
Yeah,
you'd love this game.
yeah,
Nice.
It's really good, mate. Cracking choice.
nice.
Add it to the
Throwing
list
people
again.
in the Hudson, mate.
Oh, that is brilliant.
the best
Doing the
bit.
shooting, and then where it tells you to actually just put them in the Hudson.
Yeah, so you
So they don't go off the board. They literally just lay
swimming with the fishes. You literally put them in the Hudson River. So
Hey,
good.
Mickey swimming with the fishes.
Exactly.
Fishies.
It's exactly
That's
that.
literally all you do. You just, hey,
Yeah.
get out of here.
Get out of here. The whole game, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. You coming for me?
Some excellent picks there, guys. Excellent top 5s, and so many fucking games I want to play right now.
There isn't enough time of the day.
I will say, I did notice one thing. There was quite a few 2021 releases in our lists.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Beyond the Sun, I think, is 2020, actually, not, but it's still, you're right. Within the last couple of years, the oldest games on this list are probably The Godfather
And Manhattan.
and Manhattan Project.
Champions and Mid-Gods.
Champions and
It's
Mid-Gods.
the old one as
I
well.
don't.
That was definitely... Because I've looked at that and I've read that review. I've watched so many videos. I've just never pulled the trigger for it. But
Hey.
it's...
Please, come over or I
Definitely.
bring it to yours, whatever
Yeah.
you want to do, mate. So, we know the rules. We've done the top 5s. It's honourable mention time. Anyone have some?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right, should we do round the table like we've done with the top 5s very
yeah,
quickly?
let's go
Do it then.
There's only a couple I've only played once, which one was Viticulture,
I need to play that.
Endless Winter I mentioned, Lords of Waterdeep, there was a no one's things.
I played that.
And the only one I had played quite a bit was so close to going to top 5, Terracotta Army.
Yeah, I need to play that too.
Yeah.
You've got so many games in your collection that are really fucking good.
Oh, question, sorry.
Yes.
I had one on here, but I wasn't too sure, so I'm going to ask your approval on this,
Okay, let's go.
because you own it.
Okay.
Dinosaur Island.
It is.
It is.
Because there is an
100%.
entire section of the board which is worker placement.
Yeah.
So yes, that is what.
Because I was going to
Agreed.
mention it earlier on about you putting your
Ratified.
specialist on there.
Absolutely ratified with Jason as well. Raiders of the North Seas 2015. That's
2015, bloody hell.
relatively old compared to some of the other stuff we talked about. Almost 10 years now. That's fucking
I know,
wild.
it's
Crazy.
mental how old that is now.
Yeah, so on my shortlist, and I suppose honourable mentions, includes The Godfather and includes Starship Captains and includes Manhattan Project. So there's some really good
Nice.
stuff on there that are just all on there. And Pan Am. These are all the stuff that I've
All
thought
got
about.
mentioned, yeah.
Actually, a sort of avant-garde one. I suppose avant-garde. That's a bit of a weird thing to say. It's Forgotten Waters.
Oh,
It is a narrative
yes.
game, right? But the actual mechanism is you place your worker and
Yes, you do. On the
enact-
book, isn't
on
it?
the book,
That's
and
right.
you enact an effect and you
Yeah,
read the
good
thing.
shout.
It's a bit of a weird choice, and that's why it didn't really make the list. Is
Hmm.
because of that reason. But it does kind of fall into that space, right? It's a little bit again
Yeah,
grey
I'll go with
area,
that.
but it falls in the
I
space
do believe it is a listed mechanism on the BGG.
on the Buguggers.
Yeah.
Um,
And if it's on the Buguggers,
If it's on the Buguggers, you know that shit's legit. No, the other one is what is Near and Far. That was quite close. Near and Far is a
never heard of it.
oh my gosh. Ryan Lorkett he's a whole vibe. Like check out Ryan Lorkett's
Is
games.
that the same as Forgotten Waters? Is it the same book one?
No, it has a book, yes, but not in the same design.
Right.
Totally different design, but yes, it has a book to it. It's like the map book, I guess, but it has worker placement in it as well.
Okay.
Phenomenal. Please do check that out.
Yeah.
That game is amazing. Tom has
Near
that.
and Far.
Near and Far by Ryan Lorkett. And you might know what's the new one that he did, which was immensely popular? Sleeping Gods.
Yes.
You heard of that?
Ah,
maybe?
yes, I have. Yeah,
Same-
that's the recent one, isn't it?
Same
Yeah.
guy, and it's like a whole universe that he's designed. Near and Far was before
I'll
that.
work on that's amazing.
He did that too. Like he's a really smart dude. So that's another one that was there as well. And another one which is kind of, again, questionable, but I played very recently. It was amazing. It was called Parks. And Parks is fucking great.
I've seen it, I've never played it.
It does worker placement in a really smart way where you've got like a list of actions, right? So a row of actions. So they're in a row as opposed to on a board. And I can put my dude as far along as I want on the row of actions and get the effect, but I can never go back. So I'm always going forward. And again, you still have that denial thing. So say I've got an action here, an action here, an action here, an action here in a row. So 5 in a row. You put your action there. I can't go there. I have to jump over you and do something else instead. And then once I go there, when you pick up this worker again, you can either go one step and stay behind me, or you can go ahead of me.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
really smart. So you're doing actions, but in a line in some way. So you're forced to go one direction.
So you can't go back and do that?
You can't go back. Yeah. So I can't jump back and do the one that you've then left. So once you leave that action, I can't go and get it. So really clever. And done again. It does worker placement in a way that I haven't seen before. And it's really lovely.
That sounds pretty good.
It's really, really good. Nick owns that, and he taught us that, and I was like, I kind of want to buy it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
Well, if you do, let's play it.
I will, yeah.
Very nice. I'll keep mine quite short because a few I've been mentioning them throughout. Obviously, Fallout Shelter was one of them.
Nice.
I am going to stick in Dinosaur Island in
It's
there as well.
bloody
because
good, mate.
Really, really good game. And Dinosaur World also crossed my mind.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason that didn't make it is
More an
'cause
island, though, than world.
more island than world, but I would have chosen world out of the two because I prefer them out of the two. But I've only played it a couple of times, so I wasn't quite sure I wanted to put that in. I've also got another one called Little Towns, which is kind of my go-to if I'm introducing someone.
I played that.
Yeah, it's a really cute little game and surprisingly good for a worker placement.
I played that little Zatu-con sort of thing, weirdly enough. But yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, not a bad little game. That's kind of my go-to if I want to introduce someone into a very light worker placement game. So
Little Town.
Yes.
yeah, Little Town, or it's either Little Town or Little Towns because I think there's another game that's the other version of it. It's
Okay,
either
okay.
Little Town or
One has a
Little
plural, one does not.
Towns. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's not a bad little game. So I'm going to leave it at that because my mind is frazzled. And
I'll be
I can't
honest, like
think of any
you got
others.
on your list was so many of my honourable mentions.
Yes.
Like, for the parody.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, my only honourable mention, which you guys smashed out anyway, which was June.
Yeah, June Imperial.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
But there's so much
Nice.
good stuff on there, mate. Worker placement, solid mechanism, man.
It's a great fucking
think I
mechanic.
need more, like that's
Yeah.
For how many games I enjoyed, is something I need to start looking into.
I have to say, it's probably my second favourite type of board game.
Yeah,
Over
it's really
social
good, man.
deduction.
Yes.
Would be my first.
Bloody good. And I think, and there's so many great games of the genre I haven't even touched because I just haven't had the time. Things like Viticulture. Tom has that.
I've only played it once. That's why it was just a mention. I need to play again.
I haven't got the chance to play that, and that's a classic. I mean, I've played Caverna.
Right.
It's a beast, and a very Rosenberg beast, but again, it's a bit dry for me. But very good though.
Nice. Guys, thank you so much for coming on, doing this episode for us. We also have two gentlemen that are on board game podcasts. Would you please like to plug your podcast, tell people where they can find and subscribe to you, please?
You can find Board Stupid wherever you can find your favourite podcast, spelled BOARD. We're really preparing in terms of our sort of media stuff for this year. You'll find a lot of stuff on our YouTube channel this year once we go to UKGE and probably Essen again. There'll be a bunch of industry interviews. There's a bunch on there already. Please go check that stuff out and check out the archive wherever you can find your favourite podcast.
Nice. Jason?
It sounds so professional when he does it. It sounds
I swear he's got it like tape recorded. It just clicks in his head.
Just click, there we go, and play.
I'm a robot.
And then I come along and just rabble.
No, you do it well, mate.
But yeah, we are Meeple Minded. You can find us and Board Stupid pretty much anywhere you can get good audio streaming services and some really shit ones
And some
as
bad
well.
ones, well, yeah.
But yeah, just search us out, give us a follow. Same with the M.T.V.B. podcast. If you have listened to this, give it a follow.
Exactly.
Because
Fill your ears.
it really helps.
And if you want to listen to Chris, he's now exclusive with M.T.V.B. You can find us anywhere.
Yes, mate. You can sign to the M.T.V.B. podcast,
signed.
mate. Yes,
That's
mate.
it. Signed, still delivered.
I think if we ever have him on the show, we're going to have to pay royalties now.
Yeah,
aren't
that's
we?
right. Yeah,
This is it.
Exclusivity
Speak
fee
to my
arrangement.
agent.
Needs to get him a t-shirt now.
Yes, mate. Absolutely.
But no, guys, again, thank you so much for doing that. So, guys, if you like what you listen to, follow us on Facebook at the M.T.V.B. Podcast, or on Instagram at M.T.V.B. Podcast, or on TikTok at M.T.V.B. Podcast 197. I'm Anthony, joined by...
Wayne from Bored Stupid.
Jason from Meeple Minded.
Chris from around.
and M.T.V.B. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Good night.